Hello, 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 and welcome to the new SkyTour LiveStream here on YouTube. We have made some significant changes, as you can see from looking at the screen over here. We now have the ability to gesture to things we want to do. We actually have on-screen controls for the telescope and the other equipment inside the dome. And you can see that up here in the upper left, we have the Dome Ops camera. This is showing all the operations inside here in the warm room, and you can see I'm waving hello. And then here on the right, we have, here on the right, that's Dome Ops up there. Here on the right, we have the cameras for the telescope view from in the dome, and we have another camera mounted on the telescope. So it's looking out the dome with the telescope. Then in the middle of the view, we actually have the live view. This is the Orion Nebula that we're looking at right now. And we are here. I managed to get everything hooked in. Now there's another little feature that you haven't even seen yet, and I'm going to show it to you shortly. But check this out. Now if we want to just go, say, take an image of the Orion Nebula, well, it's very simple, because I'm showing you all the parameters over here. This is our sensitivity, the ISO. Right now it's at 16,000. I'm going to drop it down to 10,000. And you'll notice that this screen over here, the computer control went away only because we don't need it now. We already have our telescope where we want it. Although, if I bring it back, I could bring us over just a little bit more and center it up. Okay, and now we are ready to go. So we're going to do, say, a 10-second photo at 10,000 ISO. Let's just go for it. And then I'm going to show you the rest of the system, because this is just part of it. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Ronald. How you guys doing? So here's what's going to happen. Now I'm going to take a picture, all right? And we do that by pressing this little button right here. And right now the telescope is taking a picture. And I have a number of different views that you'll see. As soon as it stops taking a picture, we will be able to go into a different view, and we have this nice little change to the new view. So here's the new view, how it looks. This is the viewer that shows the Orion Nebula that we just took now. It's, of course, stunning, because the night is actually really pretty. I did not think I was going to stream tonight, guys. I did not think I was going to get to do it, because it was cloudy all night, and it just cleared up in the most brilliant way. So, hey, we're going to see what happens. Hey, Tim, how you doing? So, if we want to actually change this a little bit, we can actually go into this another view, which is got some image processing already put on the nebula, which you can see here now. And we can alter that a little bit. We can go in and change how that looks. We can bring up some of the brightness a little bit, and now this is more of a processed view of the Orion Nebula. This is the nebula as we've processed it, and this is the nebula as it looks straight out of the camera. Okay, so this is what we see straight out of the camera, and this is the processed view that we have. So we can do live image processing now. We can do another thing which I think is really cool, and I'm going to show you that now. We can actually go to what I call the stellar scene. We can actually now put this entire frame into context. Look at this. We now have the ability to go through all of the sky dynamically with a live connection to the telescope. This Planetarium program is connected to the telescope at the moment. This is Orion. Well, how do you know it's Orion? Well, I can show you the constellation lines, okay? And now you see 1, 2, 3, 4 with a belt of 3, okay? This indicator here tells you where the scope is pointing, and that's where the Orion Nebula is within Orion. Look at that. You get the context now for everything that we do. This is a major change, and it's going to give you a tremendous view and understanding of the universe, because you'll see where these things are. So, for instance, if you're interested in the mythology, we can bring up the mythology. This is Orion, okay? He slays the beast, all right? This is, down below, we have Canis Major, the great dog, whose name is Sirius, right? And he's chasing a rabbit. This is Lepus, the hare. And now if we were to zoom out, you'll see that we have an entire celestial sphere full of constellations and mythology. And we can dive into all these. Now, here is Taurus the bull. Here is Aldebaran, which is a bright red star in Taurus. And we can click on it and get a tremendous amount of information about it. Aldebaran is 66 light years away. And that red square you see is not just the center of the view, but it's also the frame view, the size of the frame that we see. And it's also, you'll notice that as I move, it changes a weird angle, doesn't it? It seems to be rotating as I move it. What's that doing? Well, what it is, it's set up basically to follow the angle at which the telescope is angled. So wherever it goes, it's going to follow the angle of the telescope. All right, so when we look at the Orion Nebula, for instance, this is what we see. All right, and this is what we took. All right, this is the size of the frame. So you can see that this matches this pretty darn good. Actually, it's a little bit over there, okay, at this point. There's more to the Orion Nebula. This is more of a spectacular image. I'm going to turn off the mythology and turn off the constellation lines for now. But we go down pretty faint here on this Planetarium program. And the nice thing is that being that it's all connected to the telescope, we're going to get a lot of information dynamically as we move forward. I think that's pretty cool. And Maddie, to answer your question, I sent Amanda a message. I haven't heard back from her, but I did not expect to stream tonight. So this is sort of a spontaneous stream because I wanted to show the new system we have here. Okay. Now we can cut back over to the remote. All right, and that's this here. I'll show you right now. Okay, this is the remote object live. And there we go. And we have the telescope views and operations views. And as I said, I'm right here. Hello. And so now we will be able to, look at things. I can actually see the chat here. And so if anyone has any questions, I can read them now directly. I'm also, it's a little bit different. The only difference is that I'm not out in the freezing cold dome. All right. But the best part about this is that I get to do this kind of thing without having to, I had to put together a lot of technology to do this, but the fact is, by doing it this way, I think that we have an opportunity now to actually produce some really good results. Now, another thing I can do, here's the view, right? We're looking at the Orion Nebula. If we go into 4K video mode, one that you're familiar with when you've come to SkyTour LiveStream, you can see that I can actually increase the sensitivity of the camera dynamically here. All right, and you can see the nebula like we took pictures of it before. This pink area around the edges, this is a camera artifact. It's due to the circuitry of the camera. The camera is so sensitive it actually picks up a lot of noise from the camera itself. All right, and this is, as you can see here, 80,000 ISO. I like being able to show you everything that's going on. I want you to be able to see that. And by the way, thank you guys for the nice comments. Thank you, Elliot, Chris, and Maddie, and Raymond. I think it's really nice that you guys like this because, yes, I will be more comfortable now. And I think that it'll be a lot more fun as we start to do some real science, because I will be taking the SkyTour LiveStream into another realm where we're actually going to do some real science, and we'll be doing it live and together, so that'll be kind of fun. And no hints as to what we're gonna do. I've got the things that to make this happen. I just haven't put it together yet. Hey Jeff Lucas, how you doing? Happy New Year to you too. It's coming up soon, and this will be SkyTour LiveStream's let's see, year and a half anniversary, I think, in January. It'll be the 1-year anniversary of SkyTour Radio on kgraradio.com. We have 1.4 million listeners on KGRA, and we are just so pleased and humbled at the response we've received. Our ratings are through the roof on KGRA. We come out in single-digit ratings every show for some reason. And I think that on a paranormal station, that people are actually very interested in learning about real science, because you know how this is. You believe in, say, unidentified flying objects, as most of us do. I mean, we know that all they are is, technology of a race that's more advanced than us. Not having any contact with such a race, it's hard to say, oh, well, they're out there, of course, and say, and do you fully believe it, without seeing evidence. Well, the evidence to me, as an exoplanet astronomer, is that we have other planets like the Earth out there. And if we do, then you know what? I suspect that we will be able to see someday that we will find life elsewhere. Now, how do I even know this? Well, in the 90s, Carl Sagan asked that the Galileo space probe that was winging its way to Jupiter at the time, the Galileo probe, he asked that it be turned around and looked at the Earth, and because he wanted to see what a planet that has vegetation and different types of soils and stuff look like from a distance. And so they built an entire database. It was elementary at the beginning, and it's since been refined to a great degree. They built this database of what's called reflectance indices, and reflectance is something that is very specific for certain vegetation or sand or water. The reflectance is a certain thing, and we noticed that this is the case. So we built this database of all the different reflectance indices to tell us what, say, a tropical rainforest looks like, or what sand looks like in a desert, or what an ocean looks like, or what lakes look like, all right, or what clouds look like. And this reflectance is so specific in some cases that we will be able to take the James Webb telescope, which is going to be very, very efficient in the infrared, looking at infrared, which is the long wavelength past the red visible part of the spectrum. And it's going to be able to look at the reflections of the light, or the light coming from planets, distant planets around stars. And based on the reflectance index that it can capture from these planets, it's going to be able to tell us whether the planet has life like plants. We'll be able to know if it's a tropical rainforest planet, perhaps, or against, measured against other science. We might be able to say what kind of plant life might be there. This is a really far out technology. It's not far away, but it's far out, let me tell you. Now, one more thing I want to show you. Let's say we wanted to zoom in on this and focus on this a little bit. I set up a view so that we can actually focus on a central part. So this gives us the ability now to focus. You'll see that my cursor is a mouse, so there's a big arrow now. But now what I can do is I can actually now focus. Watch, I'm going to do it right now. As I focus the telescope, watch the images. You'll see that the star images are getting blurry, okay, and big and bloated, okay? And then as I bring them down, they're going to get smaller and more focused, all right? And that's what this is about. We can actually do this refined focus now very, very well. And that's something that's extremely helpful in this arena. So here is, again, this is the main interface that you'll all be treated to. And again, for those joining us, we got dome operations up here. That's me in here saying hello. I'm inside now in a nice warm area. I no longer will be getting cold. This is telescope operation here and over here. Okay. Let me just pull this up. Okay. This is dome ops over here. This is the telescope operation here. Over here on the right, we have the dome cam 1, and over here we have dome cam 2. Now, these dome cams are actually Wi-Fi cams, so I'm subject to battery life, and I imagine that one of these cams is probably going to give out, and you'll see it go, but we'll have the other one. And then, of course, we have camera operations here. So we have dome ops here. We have camera and telescope ops here. Camera ops here. And we have the cameras here. So this is kind of fun. Now, as I mentioned to those watching, we just also have these ops here. This is a new scene which shows us a live view of where the telescope is looking at. That telescope is looking at this area that has the little crosshair with the word scope next to it. All right. And it's the Orion Nebula that we're looking at right now. This is, of course, a planetarium view. Now, if I want to take us up here, I don't have to specifically pick an object. I can just pick this area. And I can say, okay, let's go to this area. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit the keys to take us just to this area. And then we're going to go back to our live view and watch it do it. All right, so here we go. And it's going to go quick. So, all right, so here we go. Off we go. And now we're moving. Okay. And there we go. There's Alnitak, which is the leftmost star in the belt of Orion. And we're sitting pretty at where? At this location right here. Okay, we're right about there. Alnitak shows as about in the center of our frame here. So let's go back and see where it is. Actually, the center of our frame is right about here, so we're not that far off. There's been a lot of rain here, and I've been concerned that the telescope pier may have shifted underground. And so when I measured it the other day, I noticed that it actually did not. I was really pleased to see that. So we got lucky. So let's do some refining here. Here's the telescope control center. Let's bring this up. Let me go back to our remote live view here so you actually can see it in better context with the proper with the proper camera views so you can see where we are. All right, so I'm just going to bring this up a little bit more, and I want to see if we'll be able to check out the horse head at all. The horse head is very faint, and we may not see it, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. But I do have some image processing we can do on the fly to check it out if we can. So this is going to be a 20-second, not 30. I'm going to make this a 20-second shot, and I will make it at 20,000 ISO. Here we go. Nice thing also is in the past when we was doing this, you would see this disappear and go blank. Well, no more. All right. Now I have it set up so that when I take the picture, this stays. We actually can still talk about the stars as we're waiting for the picture to come in. And I kind of like that. That's going to be a very, very nice feature. When the view comes up, it's going to pop us over to a view application. And for the view, we don't need, we don't need the observatory view. We don't need the operations. I think I kept the operations in there, though. But here we go. In the view now, we can see a little bit more. And now, right here, you can actually tell that we have this. This is a blue reflection nebula here, and you can actually see the horse head. It's right there. We actually captured it. Now you can't see it perfectly, okay? But if I come into my filters here and I actually play with this a little bit, we might be able to coax it out. So that's what I'm going to try and do right now. All right, so I'm kind of playing around with the settings now to see what we can do. Maybe if I increase some saturation, that's the color. All right. So now you can kind of see that we actually have a very faint object there. Not bad for Orion being sort of in the murk. And of course, Alnitak is very bright, and it's making this ray here. But we can actually kind of see the horse head is right there. This beautiful reflection nebula is very, very clear and very obvious. I just spent a lot of time collimating the telescope. And what's collimation? Well, collimation is when you have mirrors on a telescope. You have a mirror at the bottom of the telescope where the light hits first. All right. And then that light gets reflected up to a second mirror. And then that gets reflected down through a hole in the middle of the primary mirror, the main mirror, and then out to your eye, or in my case, the camera setup. Well, we have to make sure that those mirrors that are all in the telescope are all perfectly aligned with each other. And you can see a little bit of some issues over here and over here. This stuff here is related to the fact that the telescope is what's known as an f6.3. It's actually a very fast telescope optically, meaning that the field's a little bit larger that you see with this telescope. All right. Most telescopes are f10 or maybe f8, but f10 usually. And those are what we call Schmidt-Cassegrain telescopes, like the SkyTour LiveStream main instrument. We also have a 5-inch refractor that is mounted. Not now. I don't have it on there at the moment because I've been doing an awful lot of testing with this system. And a 5-inch refractor is that in the telescope dome. It's an f5, so it's faster even so than this telescope that took these pictures. All right. Now, what's interesting is this particular, and I'm going to take us back to the main remote view at the moment. Okay, so here we go. We're back. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring us up a little bit because I think I'd like to get us another look. See, there's Alnitak coming into view. And I'm going to stop in just a second here, and I'm going to move us over just a little bit. All right. Okay. Now I'm going to take a picture again. All right. And we're going to take a picture 20 seconds for 20,000 again. And this is going to capture another object that's here. All right. So we're taking that picture now. And again, we can still see everything. And where are we? Well, let's go look. Okay. We're right here. You can see that the telescope, again, the square box is just a field of view. All right, the telescope is there. That's what we're looking with the telescope, okay? So let's go back, and I know that doesn't help you much, but I'll get back to you on that. All right, so this now is what we call the flame nebula. You can see very clearly, you can see the flame right here, and this is, of course, is Alnitak, which is that brightest star in the leftmost of the 3 stars in the belt of Orion. It's absolutely beautiful, and the Flame Nebula has a really interesting characteristic color. We can actually zoom in on these, okay, as far as you can go, and you can see how much noise there is. Well, that's because we shot this at 20,000 ISO. That is, sensitivity. Now, if we want to, process these a little differently, well, then we can do that. We can actually go in and look at our filters, and we can modify this. We can increase contrast a little bit. We can play a little bit with some of the other settings to help us see this better, as you can see. I mean, now, you'll notice that there's some red blotchiness here. This is called color noise. It's something that we could get rid of, in processing later, which we do. I can get rid of all this color noise and keep only the real data, which is like the flame. But here's what's interesting. Do you notice how you can see this really interesting little modeling in here? The modeling, M-O-T-T-L-I-N-G, right? Modeling. And this is something that was elusive to us before. But with some of the changes, I've managed to be able to bring, again, for one-shots. This is a one-shot, photo. Now, if I took 25 of these, which you've seen me do in the dome, and then stack them, well, then this would be just a stunning, absolutely stunning photo. That's right, Chris. It's the flame. Yep. And so this is kind of cool because this gives us the opportunity now to actually just not only take the images and do something with them live and right in front of you, but to actually then offer them up to you later when we go to put them up on the SkyTour LiveStream site. I just backed off a little bit on the stuff on the contrasting here, so to make it a little better. This is what the image looks like without touching. Okay, so this is the image without any processing, and then just little simple processing gives us this. Is that not a huge difference? I mean, look at that and look at that. That's another really cool thing we can do here. This is cool too. Well, I got to tell you too, and Chris Elliott's correct. He did some really cool photography where he captures the Horsehead Nebula really phenomenal. Check his site out. Chris, you're allowed. Please do put your link down in the chat. I'm more than willing to share all this glory of the universe. Why not? We're all friends here. We're all in the same, going to the same end. So anyway, this the flame is a neat object to capture, and where is it in context? Well, let's go see. Okay, if we look at this within the context of the Orion location, let's back out, all right, and see where it is. Well, here we go. Okay, here is the constellation of Orion, all right, and this, you can see the stars here. I accidentally selected a star here. I don't want to do that. I want to come back in and just grab the flame. All right, I like this. Actually, I can just take that star right there. Okay. All right. And when you back out, you can see that here's Orion. Here's Betelgeuse, big and red, Bellatrix. We have Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. We have Saiph, and we have Rigel. Here's the Orion Nebula. And to the upper left, you see right the left part of this, right to the upper left of the leftmost star in the belt. This is the Flame Nebula. All right. And where's the Horsehead? Well, the Horsehead is right here. That's the Horsehead. All right. Now, so this is the context that I think it's pretty cool, and I'm liking this because this gives us the opportunity to show you where these things actually are. Now the only thing I don't have at the moment, and this is bothersome, I've been working on it actually feverishly for the last several days, is I don't have a way to actually move the dome yet. I have, I gotta show you this. I have motors. Okay, this is a motor I'm using here. I also have what's called a stepper motor, a large stepper motor, and I think that that I'm gonna program the stepper motor through what's called an Arduino, which is a little microprocessor that you can program yourself and make it do things to hardware. And I have a little belt that I'm going to install on the inside of the dome that's going to be able to engage with a gear and with the stepper. I want the telescope to, wherever the telescope goes, the opening will follow. All right, so the telescope will point, say, to a particular azimuth, which is a compass direction, 0 to 360, and the telescope opening will follow the telescope's pointing direction, and we're doing that through something called ASCOM, and ASCOM, ASCOM, is the software and the standardized process by which people can. I'm gonna make sure your comment shows there, Chris. And that it's a standardized software, and it's the standards actually by which telescope control is done. Now, I will probably have to change the camera battery. Although I will say this, I had the camera battery was at 50% when I started the telescope today at 1 in the afternoon with the camera attached. Okay, 1 in the afternoon. And the time is now almost 10 o'clock at night. So when I plug the camera in the way I'm using it now, we actually trickle charge the battery in the camera as we're using it. So the battery drops very, very slowly. And we will end up being able to go literally the entire stream without ever changing the battery. I told Bill New York Skywatcher this. Bill, of course, is a good friend. He's also my producer on KGRA. And now he doesn't have to go outside in the cold anymore. And he even got himself a pan and tilt mount. That means he can actually turn the camera on the tripod and make it go up and down from inside the house, which is kind of cool. I did it in a very fancy way. I have a whole telescope that's moving up and down, as you can see down here. Here it is in the corner here. You can see this one. This is Dome Cam 1. You can actually see the telescope on the mount. And the telescope's actually pointing up this way, okay? And it has a band around the end of it, you can see a little band around the end of the tube. The tube is dark in this view. that large kind of, it looks white. It's that little circular thing near the bottom. That's the underside of the mount, and because it's mounted in what's called polar alignment. It's actually pointing at the North Pole, so that all they have to do is worry about, going left to right, east to west, west to east, and north to south is taken care of. So we have a really interesting setup now. The dome is fun as a dome, real telescope dome. I mean, people love driving by and checking out the dome and saying, hey, it's a big minion on some guy's front lawn. And yes, I'm sort of the talk of the town because of it. And oh well, hey, could it be the second dome at the bottom of the driveway? Yeah, probably that too. There's another dome down there too. And hopefully we'll have an opportunity to install a new observatory out in Arizona. I want to bring the one I have here. I want to bring all of this equipment out to Arizona. But I think that if things go well, I may have the opportunity to get all new equipment out there, and have it, as part of a process by which I'm going to be going around the country doing talks. But we'll see. I want to do live astronomy all over the country. It'll be kind of fun, especially if we can just link into an observatory, right? So everything you're seeing here, everything on the screen here, all this stuff, and the planetarium, this stuff, this is all stuff that's out in the dome, and I'm actually out. I'm in my house. I'm in the building inside. I'm not outside at all, and so the telescope is able to operate entirely from in the house. Everything works just fine, and I'm really pleased about that. I think that one of our processes that we want to do is we want to be able to show what's going on in the universe, show you where it's going on, how it's looking, what it's doing. And by the way, just so you know, I don't know how long I'll be able to go tonight, because I am kind of doing this in between cloud banks. All right. So we'll see. Now, here's another place we can go. This is the Pleiades. All right. And I think the dome is set up so that I can do this. And let's just hit the option to go there. And let's go see if we can get there. Okay, that's not where I wanted to go. I said the wrong thing. Sorry. I'm now going to go there. Here we go. All right, and let's see. Oh, I have to wait for it to finish. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay, it's done moving. So now I can take us to the new object. All right, we're going to go right there. All right, that's the center of the Pleiades. All right, let's make sure it went. We should see the telescope coming over, and we do. We see the telescope's moving over, and we come over here, and sure enough, there's the Pleiades. Now, the way the telescope's view is kind of interesting, because when we look at the Pleiades with this telescope, you'll notice as we zoom in, all right, and you'll notice the square is now on a weird angle. Well, that's because that tells us the angle at which the Pleiades is to us, and the telescope, if this was level, okay, let me just show you. If this was level, okay, then right here where this square is level, that's when we're looking south. That is when we're looking right down toward the south. All right, and to prove it, there we go. See the S? All right, so if we go this way, the telescope's on a weirder angle. If we go this way, the telescope's on that kind of an angle, see? So that's kind of cool. Now, so we're actually up here, all right, looking at the Pleiades. And I believe if we go to, I want to go to the dome, setup here. We can see that. I just gotta get my dome cam up. I think dome cam 1, the batteries have finally died, and Dome Cam 2 is coming back up, as you'll see in a second. It's just until I hardwire them, we're gonna kind of be stuck with that, but that's all right. All right, so waiting on that, and let me just get this back. Okay, so now we're here. Let's go actually look at this and take a picture, shall we? So let's go to the live view. Okay, and the live view, the live remote view is here, and yeah, see, Dome Cam 1. It's time to change your batteries. Yeah, no kidding. And Dome Cam 2 is coming up, and looks like it's pointing out of the slot. Yeah, not quite. Something's not right there, but we'll figure that out. There we go. Okay, so we may be hitting the edge of the dome. I may have to go out and move it, but let's just do a 15-second exposure at 20,000. Why not? If it looks really white, it's either clouds or it's the edge of the dome in the way. And you can kind of see down here the telescope. This little I can't move the cursor over the dome. I'm sorry, over the image, but there's a rounded thing at the bottom of this image. That's the barrel of the telescope. All right, and that black area is, of course, the sky. So here is the Pleiades, and we're looking at now at the part of the Seven Sisters. We're looking actually at the Maya Nebula, and I'm going to just give us a view. This is the view of what it looks like directly out of the camera. All right, you can clearly see this beautiful little edge here. This is the Maya Nebula. The Merope Nebula is down here. So if I bring up our live view again, and just drop us down just a little bit. So let's bring us down some. Now we get the rest of the Pleiades in here. All right, and this looks pretty. And then we come in, and there we go. So this is Alcyone. Okay, we have Maya, we have Merope. Now let's just get another shot, and we'll do 20 seconds, say, at 20,000. Let's see what that gives us. All right, and once again, the camera is off and running, yet we can still see the view until the picture comes in which case we'll go to the viewer, which is this other program over here. All right, and then we have these nice little transitions between these. So this is our remote view here, looking through there, and now we're going to bring up the view. So this is the view now with oh wow, we got some artifacts over here. That's kind of weird. That's not an actual thing. That's actually an artifact from the star and the way it reflected into the lens. But you can clearly see this beautiful little nebula here. And if we just go and play with that a little bit, how's that for a little bit of playing? Okay, now we can actually see that there's some of that beautiful combed look there. We have this beautiful cloud here. Again, these are B-type stars, and if you remember our stellar classifications we've talked about, we have the hottest stars are O-type stars, okay, and the coolest stars are M-type stars, and the stellar classes in between are B, A, F, G, and K. So O, B, A, F, G, K, M. And they go from hottest to coolest and largest to smallest typically. And what we're looking at here is this beautiful set of B stars, which are in Taurus. And the nice thing is, and this is unprocessed now, I just don't have, I took the processing off just for now. And these are all stars they were born together in the same locations, and then they just sort of spread out a little bit from each other, and they're moving through space together. The nebulae that they're passing through, this is dust, interstellar dust. And this interstellar dust is interesting because the Pleiades doesn't actually have this dust around it. These hot blue stars aren't born from this dust, all right, or in this dust. They are just passing through. So they're just little, they're just passing through, which is kind of funny. Let me let me just do a little thing. I'm going to move it a little bit. There we go. And once it stops and locks, that's good. And now we can take another picture, 20 seconds at 20,000. I just want to see if we can get rid of the artifact from the star over here. You know, because if we use it and we actually, you know, if we actually create the artifact again, it's going to look a little bit differently and a little different. So we don't want to, you know, create this if we can help it. Hey, Keith, what's going on? You can do a stream tonight? Oh, man. Wow. Wow, check it out. That's really pretty. So, yeah, this is really cool. And so this is our view. And with a little bit of processing, it looks kind of like this. Now you can clearly see this beautiful combed look over here. And I can actually modify that a little bit more so we can see a little more there, because we got a little bit of a little bit more we can show here. Okay, I think that's a little better. Okay, so this is the new frame for this. Pretty cool. I mean, I look way too comfortable. I am way too comfortable. But you know, as I said, you know, I'm here with Gumby. This is Gumby, you know. So I have Gumby here, and Gumby is my little mascot. I used to have Pokey, but I can't find Pokey. So I'm having a good time, because I think that we're doing the best we can right now for the, you know, keeping the stream going in a cool way. And I just think it's kind of neat, you know. So there we are. And I'm looking at my battery life. You know, what was it? It was 16% before, actually. Now it's down to 14%. See, so we're actually trickle charging it, like I said, but you know, it's only dropping a little bit at a time. Kind of neat. Yeah, it's and I guess if you want to call it a command center, I guess that's kind of what it is. But the bottom line is, in astronomy, we just call them warm rooms. And they're really effective and necessary, especially if you have a high-altitude observatory. Because at the high altitudes, you actually need to make sure that you have a proper amount of oxygen. You know, especially when you're at altitudes, you know, about 14,000 feet. You know, Mauna Kea is at around 14,000, a little under. And, you know, you go up there, you'll be lightheaded, and you'll get this weird giddiness, and then you'll get tired, and then you end up saying stupid things, and it's all has to do with your lack of oxygen. You know, it's luckily I don't have that problem here. I'm only at 800 feet, but boy, I'll tell you, it's really kind of cool. So, you know, but this gives me an opportunity though to actually to pursue other technologies as well. And as I said, I've been investigating for a couple of weeks now, working out a way to get the dome to rotate so I don't even have to do that. I've already figured out how to make the computer in the dome come up automatically and automatically give me the link, not link, but the code to get in, and that's something that it does automatically now. So I didn't have that before, and I worked that out in the last couple of days. Actually, I worked that out in the middle of a rainstorm, you know, so that's kind of cool. So, hey, Daryl, how you doing? I see Daryl's here. Yeah. And Maureen, Santa doesn't like me better. I didn't get anything from Santa. You know, I'm just, you know, I got all my own stuff. You know, Santa asks me what I should buy, you know. So anyway, I think it's pretty cool. Hey, Jen, how are you? It's so nice to see you here. I was just telling everybody this is the new look for SkyTour LiveStream now. We've got, you know, this here. We have the telescope control here. So we have telescope control. We have command ops view here. We have dome cams here. We have camera control here. And this is the live view. And then we have all kinds of views. I haven't even shown you the editor yet. I mean, once we take an image, let's just say we did that. Okay, let's go in. We have this, okay? We come in. This is our editor view. And let's do it as a close-up here. Let's just do the remote like this. Okay, so we'll come in here. All right, this is our view that of the Pleiades we just took. All right, now let's say we want to edit this. We can actually go into the editor. All right, and the editor is something that will allow us to now do a huge number of things to the different to the different aspects of this photo. All right, it'll allow us to play with the colors and play with many different things. We can, let's just say we want to highlight and change the contrast. Okay, we can do that like this, or we can bring it back. You'll also notice something interesting happening. You see all this little mottled color here? Look how it goes away. Do you see that? So I've got this dynamic processing going on automatically, and what it does is it's getting rid of the noise in the image, dynamically, so that like when I make a change here, okay, see all the noise? Now you don't. Okay, it goes away. Now if I actually stop the noise reduction entirely, if I turn it off, then this is what the image is going to look like, okay, all the time. All right, and if I were to zoom in on this, okay, you see that? See all the colors? That's color noise, right? But if we want to actually get rid of that, we can actually do that. And now look, see, we get rid of the color noise pretty well. Not bad, not bad. And I'm really pleased that we can do this. I did not write these programs, but I am, of course, making use of them, And we can also make changes to the different, if we want black to be blacker, then this is what we can do. We can actually make it blacker, make it a little darker, and it's actually pretty good. And this is just preliminary on-the-fly processing, okay? This isn't doing any real processing. It's not doing image stacking like we know we have to do, okay? It's not doing any of that. So this is just giving us the option and the ability, I should say, to do some initial processing that might not otherwise get done, but it kind of gives you a better view of what we're doing here. Keep in mind, these are all one-off shots, okay? We're not doing any shots that are stacked or anything like that. We're just doing simple processing in the background, some automatically, some dynamically, live with you. So there's a number of things that we can do. And for instance, now if we go back to our remote view here, okay, and let's go back and just do the whole remote. Okay, so this is our remote view. This is the Pleiades, as I said. But let's go to let's go now back to this. This is the view that I was talking about that you've seen. This is our Planetarium program that's linked to the telescope. All right. So if we want to come down, and go to say Aldebaran, well, I could either select Aldebaran like this, in which case we get all these facts about it, and then I can tell us to just go there. And when I do that, you'll see that the telescope is moving to Aldebaran. All right. And here's Aldebaran. Okay. Now, this is a process that, took me a little bit of time to figure out and to integrate into this, but it really does work well. I'm really pleased. And so that's Aldebaran, and the Pleiades are the little cluster of stars that it's associated with. Now, if I go into a 4K video mode here, and we now increase the ISO, we also get extra noise. Okay, but we can see some of the other stars around. And if we were to bring up our controller, telescope controller, and just move a little bit, we would actually see more stars showing up. Okay, like these guys, and of course they're not dashes. That's because I'm using a 1/4 second exposure in the video. I don't need to do that, but it's sort of the best. It's the best combo for the speed and sensitivity and so forth. Really kind of neat. Yeah, Astro Imaging Jeff. Yeah, and, or Chris. Yeah, I used the SkySafari for a long time, actually. But now I've gone off of Wi-Fi. I'm hardwired now, so I don't have a Wi-Fi connection. SkySafari is an Apple OS program. I was using it and controlling the entire observatory with my iPad. But when I went to make the warm room, that didn't work because the telescope was close enough that it would get the Wi-Fi, but it would lose it sometimes. Well, now I had to hardwire all this. So the computer is actually hardwired directly to the telescope, and my computer in here is actually going, it's kind of weird. My computer here is going up to the cloud, a computing cloud, and then reconnecting to the observatory telescope from the cloud. So it's not going directly from here, where we are, out to the observatory, which is out here. Okay, it's going up to some cloud and then down to the observatory. So why did I do it that way? I did it that way because that's how it's going to work when this thing is across the country and I'm still here, perhaps, in Connecticut. Okay, when the observatory is in Arizona, we're going to be able to do this just like we see it. All right, but we're not going to do it in a way that's in a way that's going to require any Wi-Fi. We won't be able to use Wi-Fi. I love the Wi-Fi. I love SkySafari. It's an excellent program, and it has a lot of information too, and it's accurate. And I really like that. Yeah, Starry Night Pro, Plus is actually pretty good too. I had that for quite a while actually. Starry Night Pro was a really good program, so I'm glad that you're using that. That's a really good program to integrate with your telescope. Really neat, really cool stuff. I'm trying to integrate other systems too that are available. Among them, there's some there's one called PhD, okay, and there's others. One that I'm going to use for when I go to when this is actually fully remote. I'm going to be getting a system that uses a product called ACP, and that's going to be something that's going to sort of separate, what I do now from the more robust remote operations. This is fairly robust. What I'm doing here is pretty robust, okay? But I can tell you that it can get even better, and that's kind of where we're going to go, hopefully. And when we do that, we're going to use this other control program, and that's going to be able to control the telescope opening, and we're not going to have a dome in Arizona. We're going to have an entire roof that rolls off the building, and that's called a roll-off roof. It's actually easier to implement than a dome. You just buy a pre-built shed, and you put your telescope in the ground, cut a hole in the floor of your shed, isolate that pier from the rest of the shed, put the telescope on it, and then you set it up so that your roof will roll right off the building onto the rails that are extended off to the side of the building. And a roll-off roof observatory is really the way to go, because you only have to worry about rolling off and rolling on. You don't have to worry about spinning a dome and opening and closing a shutter, okay, like we do here. You can see the shutter right here, the shutter opening, okay, and then up here, this white part, this is more dome, and you have to spin the dome around to actually keep that shutter opening facing out. I don't want to do that, especially if it's a remote. But I can tell you this. Yeah, you're right. It does beat sitting in the dome and freezing. But you know what? I don't mind. I mean, I'm going to be going out there anyway, because, from time to time I have to. And in the summer months, I'm not sure I'm going to do it from in here. I may be doing it out there still, because it's a lot of fun to be out there with the crickets and so forth. Tonight is a little strange. Got to be careful, because tonight, I heard the coyotes were nearby, and it starts with one. You hear one. It starts to call, and then they all start going, and they just like 25 of them, all at once. Really, really cool. So when I go out to the dome, sometimes I have to be armed, and I'm not gonna hurt any creatures or anything, but I'm gonna do that just to scare them off, But that's that's what happens around here. We've got to worry about animals. But hey, that's okay. They are what they are. So that said, I'm looking here, and let's see if I can get us a different setup here. What's going on here? my camera has disconnected, and you know why? I think I told you, the battery. So if you guys can just hang on for a minute, I will go out. So talk amongst yourselves, and I shall return. Okay? I'll be right back. Okay, I have returned. Okay. Okay, I'm sorry about that. But, you know, the camera is now at 100%. So, what can I tell you? That just happens. So, what happened? What did I miss? Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything good? Let's see now. I'm going to go through here and see what we got going on here. Well, I just want to give a shout out to, let's see, we got Bobby Fisher, we have Daryl, we have Chris Elliott from Elliott Astro Imaging. You got to check out his channel. Chris, you can put in your link, please. We have Jeff Lucas, astrophotographer. Jeff, if you got a link, please put that in too. Jenny, Miko, hi Jen. It's so good to see you. And Justin, Laura Hovey, hi Laura. Laura's a good friend. Maddie, we have Maddie Maureen R. And we have Jello, we have Ned Ryerson. And we have Tom Brown and Wild Ike. It's so good to see you guys. And I'm glad that you could join me tonight on this, the first of the new SkyTour LiveStream. Looks really cool. I'm just very, very happy that we have this process now. This is just so much better. All right, so let's see. Okay, we're looking here. If we didn't know where we're looking, we can just go over to our wonderful scene and see that we are looking. And again, we're looking where it says scope and the reticle is. Okay, that's Aldebaran, the bright red star, and Taurus the Bull. It's 66 light years away. How do we know? Well, in this particular program, it tells us it is over here where I'm pointing. And it shows this continuous update. This is live data changing as the Earth is rotating. We're seeing the data change live. So this is actually kind of cool. Very, very, very neat. Now, in terms of where we can go from here, I made sure that the telescope was in a good spot so that we could go check out a few things. The Orion is coming up out of the murk a little bit, and I think we can now go take another. Actually, let's go down to the Orion Nebula. Who doesn't love the Orion Nebula? This is a beautiful, beautiful nebula. I want to look at the Running Man too, which is right here. All right, so we're going to go there first. So here we go. We're going to go over there now, and you won't see anything happening, but you see the stars whizzing by here, just like that. But over in here, you'll see the telescope show up. You'll see the actual scope indicator telling us that it's nearby. And it'll be there shortly. And let me just... okay, here we are. And yeah, there it is. Okay, now we're waiting for the telescope to settle down. It has to settle out, and that's when we'll be able to start getting control back again. There's some delays that it takes. Here we go. And now let's see where we are. And you can see it barely says it there. It says scope. Well, that's where we are. So if we pull out of this now and go to our remote, our live remote, okay, and go back here like this. Now let's take a photo. Let's go and we'll take a photo here at not 80,000, but I want to take one at, say, just for fun. Let's take it at 25,600. That may be too much, but let's do it for fun. See what we got. We'll do 10 seconds at, no, we'll do 15 seconds at 25,600 on the Running Man. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it over a little more because I'd like to just make sure that we have most of it in the view at the same time. Okay. So here we go. All right. So this is going to be our view right here. And let's just get a focusing view, see how we are for focus. And let me check the focus. So we're doing everything dynamically. So as I focus here, stars go a little bit out of focus here. Now they can come back. They get smaller, and they get more sharply focused. So we're actually zoomed in here to get that focusing view. So now we come out, and now let's do our photo. 15 seconds at 25,600, and we're off. There we go. We're starting the exposure, and incidentally, if you want to know when you see this L is off, it shows that we're actually taking the exposure. When it pops back on, it shows us that we're done, and you'll see that in a minute. Yeah, and there we go. All right, here we are. So now we're actually checking out. This is the Running Man. This is a one shot, remember. So this is just a one-off photo. This is what it looks like with a little processing. This is what it looks like raw, right out of the camera. Okay, and this is beautiful. Now we can, well, let's see if we do this. You might have remembered, oh, thank you, Jen. You might have remembered that if, last time when we did the Running Man photos, I actually stacked these and I made a very, very cool image of the Running Man, which Daryl actually liked. Daryl's very interested in the Running Man, and this is just a one shot. And because of the time, again, we did this, and let's go back and look at the remote. Okay, we shot this as a 15-second photo at 25,600. Well, but what that does, though, see, is that adds a lot of noise. Okay, and we see that there's some noise in this image. Okay, and what's noise from? Well, the noise is from the high ISO. That high ISO is the killer. All right, that gives us this color noise that we see in here. This color blotching. I can process out, and I do process out all the color blotching, leaving only the good data. You know, sort of like the good witch and the bad witch. I take the good data and keep it. So you know, this is a really nice little nebula, and it's actually just north of the Orion Nebula. So if we go back to our remote view here, and we take a look, we talk about the Running Man, but what I don't do is I don't tell you, you know, you don't get a chance to see the context. Well, here, let's go again, look at the context. If we go and we go back to our Stellarium view, and we go to the context, this is the Running Man here, right? And this is the Orion Nebula. They're very, very close. Now, you'll notice the color of the Running Man is blue. That's because it's a reflection nebula. These hot stars are reflecting off of dust that's in this region. They're not hot enough to ionize gas to make it red and glow red like in the Orion Nebula, like we see. But it is hot enough to do. It is actually bright enough to actually cause this reflection. Now you see our view, which is defined by this red square, is not lined up with the telescope. That's on purpose, and the reason is because I want to be able to look and see what I might want to frame. And what I think I want to frame is the Running Man here and part of the Orion Nebula there. So let's go back to our view, our remote view, okay? And let's go down a little bit and see if we can do that, shall we? So here we go. We got this. Let's now drop us south a little bit. And if we go a little more, we should start to see the Orion Nebula showing up. And there it is. So let's go a little bit north, a little bit more. Maybe, say, just there. Okay, we can see the trapezium down here. These four stars are part of the complex of stars that are actually lighting up and causing this nebula to glow. Really interesting location in space. Don't want to be anywhere near there, though, because it's really got a lot of high energy ultraviolet radiation. So now what I'll do is I'm going to take this picture. Here, this is 15 seconds at 25,600. And let's see what we get. Once again, we will be in a sort of a split screen between the Running Man and the Orion Nebula, just to give you an idea where it is. And there you go. See, this is now a really cool image, all right? Because you can see the Running Man, and who knows what that is? All right, who knows what that is? I'm sure you'll be able to tell. And so you see the Running Man and the Orion Nebula. This is how close they are. All right, and this is kind of a neat interaction here. And then we have this little guy right here. Yeah, Tom, that line. That's what I asked. Who knows what that is? Now we took a 15-second exposure, so whatever it was actually made that line in 15 seconds. So yeah, weird guy. It's a satellite. Yep, it is. And we don't know exactly which one, but you could actually, yeah, it's a UFO. Yeah, until we know what satellite it is. Yeah. You know, so without the processing, it looks like this. All right. So that's a little more interesting there. And what's going on with this? Let's see if I think I'm not. You know what? This whole time I didn't do something that I needed to, and I'm gonna do it right now. Hold on. There was something I was supposed to start up earlier, and I didn't start it. My fault. And it's because it wasn't here. I should have started it. Where is it? Well, that's the reason I can't find it. That's why. All right, no problem. I'm going to just start this up. There was another product to actually help identify what's going on. You'll notice there's a black line right here. Yeah, that's supposed to have the SkyTour LiveStream logo and everything in there. And I didn't start it up. I don't know why I didn't, but it's just nutty on my part why I didn't do that. So I shall actually do it. Oh, I know why I didn't do it. Hold on. I will get it started up here right and now. And now you'll see SkyTour LiveStream show up on the screen. Just a second. All right, should show up. There we go. All right, so yeah, that was supposed to be there the whole time. So oops, what can I tell you? You know, made the mistake. Yeah, see, so that's always there. But yeah, there's a beautiful satellite there, and I'm sure that you can actually figure out what satellite it is if you haven't already. It's passing by the Running Man. Actually, and SkySafari, Chris Elliott, SkySafari probably shows what satellite was there at the time that we took this picture. All right, and so yeah, I'm sure you'll know what it is. Is that what you think? Is that the one? As you said, AEHF 2. Yes, it's not the ISS, Tom. It's ISS is a lot brighter, believe it or not. This was a 15-second shot. Well, let's just try something else. Now, if we go back to our remote view, all right, and let's see. I'm not sure if this is gonna be the case. It depends. Now, we took this a while ago, but let's just go over here. I'm moving to the west. All right. And now I'm going to do another 15-second shot as soon as it stabilizes. Okay, it's stabilized. And now let's do another 15-second photo. I just want to see if the satellite will be here. It took 15 seconds to go that far. And I'm not sure, but this might have been just about how far it may have gone. But let's find out. Let's see. And we'll make sure it's going this way. Ha! Look at that. How about that, huh? Talk about predictive ability. We got it. There it is. Okay, this is the satellite. It was moving westward, and I figured about how far it might have gone, and we got pretty close. That's pretty good. Neato. Neato. This is just, you know, from doing a lot of satellite views over the years. I kind of just guessed. But, you know, this is, you know, over 15 seconds. It takes that amount of time for this to leave a trail like this. So that's pretty cool. So not bad, not bad. Now we can go back to our live view now that we've captured the satellite and, you know, monitored that one to death. And 1 second, let me just get my dome cam has to come back up. It's coming back up. All right, so now I will bring us back over, bring up the telescope ops, and let's go back over toward the west. And then, actually, let's do it from within Stellarium so you can actually see where we're going. Here's where we are, okay? And we are moving, we're actually moving over to the west this way. And we will get there in a moment. Let me just make sure we got a... Okay, telescope. Dome cam is back up. Let me just get back here live. Okay, and so let's bring up this guy and move us back toward the west, which brings us into Orion. Ah, yes, the Running Man. Now, something else I want to show you, which is really kind of really pretty. I'm going to bring us down here a little bit. Okay, and let's grab a focus view here of this location. This is what I want to show you. These are the 4 stars in the middle of the Orion Nebula, which are powering in part the Orion Nebula, and they are very powerful. And I'm going to do a critical focus here. Let me just try this. Okay, it's I gotta try and focus this a little better because I want to do a photo to show this. So you see, we're just kind of getting it little by little. And again, being in a focus view, we don't, and being that it's also being transmitted through the camera, we don't actually get a perfect view here. It's not going to be like totally sharp in this image. All right. But let's just do, let's go back to this, and let's go and drop this down to 16,000 and do a 20-second photo of the Orion Nebula. I'm actually I'm gonna bring us a little bit south of the nebula now. There's a reason. I'll show you. Okay, and if we look in our planetarium, you'll see that our scope is centered here. All right, and that's something that it's centered there for a reason, because I'm trying to get us a little bit of a better perspective on the nebula. I want to show some of the details down here. All right, so that's what we're doing. I'm gonna get our view back here, and now I've got that all set, and there we go. So now let's just take this photo. 20 seconds at 16,000. So we got that 20 seconds, 16,000. Hey, what do you think, huh? Having the ability to just have a cursor on the screen is a huge difference from what it's been, I'm really happy we can do that. Yeah. Yeah, Chris, that satellite was kind of cool. I wasn't sure if it would be there, but I figured that's about how far it must have moved. And I know how big the field is that is moving here with the telescope. So, yeah, this is cool. Okay, let me take us to the view. Now, let's just close in on this and just look at this directly. Okay, I want to show you this view. So here, and I'm gonna just reduce the contrast and so forth just a little bit. I'm going to soften this image just a little bit, soften the processing just a little bit. Okay, so it's not perfect. Okay, here we go. So here's what I want to show you. Okay, now in the Orion Nebula, you'll notice this really interesting little area right here, right? Well, I kind of like this because this shows us something really cool. And I'm going to do a focusing view on this. If I can, let me do it this way, okay? Because check this out, okay? Now this area, this area in the Orion Nebula represents an area where this is a boundary area in the nebula. You'll see this boundary area. This is not an area that these bright stars, this is the trapezium is up here, those 4 stars. This is a different boundary. This is what's called a shock front. This is an area where there's other stars in here you cannot see that are powering and illuminating this gas along with these, but they're also they're actually snow plowing it. It's sort of pushing it with its solar wind. See, it's making it move out. And if you were to draw this, if you could complete this little circle here, okay, let me do it this way. Actually, let me get back to a regular view. If you were to complete the circle for that, all right, you would notice that this circle would be like about here. Okay, there's others over here. All right. This is an area where hot stars that are inside the nebula are powering out strong stellar winds. This entire area in the Orion Nebula, this entire area is a stellar nursery. There's new stars being formed here all the time. And just because there's stars in here that are forming, it doesn't mean that you're going to be able to see them necessarily. Many of the stars, when they're first born, they may give off a lot of their light in the infrared first, and then ultraviolet. They might not actually be visible completely in the visible spectrum. They might be very, very hot and being in the ultraviolet. So that's sort of a odd star, man, to see that. So that's pretty cool. Now, I know that the Orion Nebula has a lot of forming stars. In fact, deep in the nebula, you can actually see, not in this particular shot, but deep in the nebula, you can see there's these little black blobs, and they're called globules. Okay, some of them are named for Bart Bok, who was an astronomer that I actually knew, and Bart's discovery was these little black globules. They were called Bok globules, actually, and there's black solid. They look solid, but they're actually gravitationally bound gas and dust that has become opaque because of the dust component, probably, and perhaps there's solar systems forming in there. And that's kind of what is a very interesting aspect of the nebula. We see a lot of those Bok globules inside here and all throughout the Milky Way. It's just a really fascinating, prospect, to see these. So when we look at the nebula, all right, we can see how it has this shock front, but you can see something else too. You can distinctly see here how it's sort of in 3 dimensions. Okay, it's like a 3-dimensional object. It's brighter here and it's darker over here. All right. Well, that's because the stars that are hitting it with its light may be closer to us in this, closer to us than farther. And so they're illuminating this plus a little bit of the back, not quite a lot. And so they're kind of on this side of this part of the nebula. These are all in 3 dimensions. Remember, the Orion Nebula is a 3-dimensional object. These stars may very well be close to us, or closer to us, than the trapezium stars in the background, or vice versa. And so the way the nebula gets illuminated is a very complex process if you don't know anything about the distance of any of these individual stars. We could probably figure out the distance. And if I go into my Planetarium program here, I don't know if these stars might have their... okay, this one doesn't have the distance. I'm looking over here for the distance. Hang on a sec. Let me get us to the proper scene. Thank you. All right, so if we go here and look... Okay, let me just center up the object here. Okay, so now we center up the star. Okay, the telescope's pointing here, all right? And we don't have a distance to that particular star. But if we look at this one, okay, again, we have rise and set times. We know its magnitude. We know what type of star. We get what's called a color index. And that tells us something about the heat output, say, of the star, roughly. So, there's a number of ways that we can get some information out of this. Now, the stars in the Orion Nebula, they're fairly well known, and there are stars in there that are called T Tauri stars, and we name stars by the progenitor, or what's called the first of its class. And there was a star that was called T and Tauri, and it was in the course Taurus. And a T Tauri star has a really strange set of behaviors. We notice a lot of the same behaviors going on in some of the stars in the Orion Nebula, so it became, the T Tauri class of star became fairly well known, and so we ended up with this whole T Tauri set of stars that were really very, very interesting because they were young and they were doing some really strange things. And, if you look them up, it's T Tauri, Tauri, T Tauri stars. Really neat. I really hope that you guys get a chance to do that, just to hang out with some astronomical books and check out the stuff that's going on out there. Now, in looking at my view here, I can see that my telescope is facing out of the dome, and I should be able to go here. This won't show up as good tonight. I'm sure this is the Rosette Nebula, but why don't we just go check it out and take a look? Now, what we'll do is we're going to head there now, and I'm going to just have us go there. So we're on our way, and when I look here in our remote view, we're already moving to the cluster that's in the center right here, and it's going to move over by itself and center up as best it could. And when I bring up my telescope control, you see north, south, east, and west are not illuminated right now. That's because it's doing the fine positioning, and it's putting itself, it's putting the stars where it wants to. It may take a couple of minutes for that to actually settle down. And if I don't want to wait, I can click this right here, but I didn't, and it settled down. And if I want to move in large amounts, I can leave this M going there. That's minutes. But if I want to go smaller increments, then it goes seconds. So here's what seconds look like when I move them. Okay. And here's what minutes look like when I move them. Whee! As you can see, seconds are a lot more manageable. Okay, so usually I go and I move in what are called arc seconds. All right. So this is the core of the Rosette Nebula, and the telescope is stabilized now. And so if we now take a 20-second exposure and let's crank this up, let's dare say we'll go to 32,000 ISO. That's a lot. That's pretty high. Maybe you can drop it down to 25.6. All right, let's try this and see what we get, okay? I'm not sure that we're going to be able to see the Rosette yet, but we'll see. Let's go take that photo. And while the photo is being taken, let's go check it out and look in our Planetarium program. All right. Now, if we want to know where it is and how high it is, etc., well, we can read this data, or we can just do this. Let's see. I believe this is it. This gives us our azimuthal lines, and right now it's about 50 degrees above the horizon, 52 degrees, 53 degrees above the horizon. You can read that data up here. It says it's actually 42 degrees apparent above the apparent horizon, but clearly it's a little more than that. So that's kind of cool. And now when we, now we can actually, again, those lines, we can turn on and off. All right, which is neat. And we actually have the equatorial grid we can put up as well. And that's what we've done here. And it follows the equatorial, equator and so forth. And if you extend latitude and longitude out into space, this is what you get. You see the lines, projected on space. Chris, I'm sorry, man. He says, "Oh, I'm really making him on an image badly. Look, I went through days and days of rain after I had this system installed. I had the telescope operational with the dome closed, going to different spots on the dome itself, just because I wanted to see what was going on, just to see if it was working. Integration was kind of sticky because a lot of things didn't want to work. Well, anyway, that said, let's go over to our view and check out what we got. Okay, now we can't really see anything yet, and I know that the nebula is here. Okay, it is here, and in many cases I don't actually see the nebulae until I actually process them. All right, so like here we have now a little bit of processing going on. I'm actually gonna process this a little more as we speak. Let me see if I can bring out some of it. Okay, the Rosette Nebula is faint. It has it's called a low surface brightness, and that's something that we know is a problem. When you don't have something that's very bright, it will definitely cause you an issue. when you go to image it. Now, if I stack a bunch of these together, we'll actually see it, you know. But if we don't stack them together, you won't see it. You'll notice that the image looks a little bit reddish. That's because the nebula is reddish. We are getting a little bit of that color, all right? And you'll see that we see, like over here, we actually see some of the modeling. There is a nebula here, but it's very hard to see. I've had a lot of photos that were like this right from the very start. And when I processed them, I would process them, and wham, I would actually have, you know, the nebula showing up just beautifully, and then I could actually work it out. You can kind of see that the nebula does kind of go around here. Sort of hard to see that, but you know, it could be my settings as well. So let's go back to the remote view, and let's. My telescope appears to be looking straight out of the dome. We seem to be okay there. So let's actually go up to 30 seconds and go up to, why not, 40,000 ISO. And we'll go drop down to 20 seconds or 20. So yeah, let's do that. So now we can try it and see what we get. This will be kind of interesting. I don't expect that we'll see, you know, a major nebula, but we've gone up by several stops, as they're called in photography. We've made it, you know, a lot brighter. The image will be a lot brighter. So I think that hopefully this is fun, showcasing the new look and feel of SkyTour LiveStream with you. I hope you guys are enjoying it. I sure am. I think we're having a ball, you know. You'll notice that the noise is getting processed out, okay? And that's dynamically occurring, and I think that's pretty neat. It helps you see the image a little better for what it is. And let's see here. So this is the image, and we can actually see along the left side here, we can actually see the previous shots we took, like the Orion Nebula and so forth. These are shots we took earlier. All right, and we can actually go down and get to the latest shot we took like this. And you can see, you watch that noise get taken away. That dynamic process is really something that's important, and it's one that you can't live without, actually. So you can start to see a little bit of nebula here, and you can actually see the edge of it right here. That's pretty cool. And here, and this would actually become just a beautiful all-star photo. If I was to take the time to take, say, 25 photos, then stack them all together, and then process them. I think that's pretty cool. So let's see. We got, if you notice, there's some beautiful stars. It's gorgeous, like cluster. Again, these are all stars that were born in the same region of space. And what's that mean? That means that they're all about the same age. And I think I showed you guys this cluster that was, actually, why not just go look at it? I might be able to, I think we can probably go look at it. Let me just get us back to our live remote, and I'm thinking that we might be able to do it. I'm going to look at it now. Oh, let me take off the grids here for now. I think we can do this. We're going to be dropping down into Canis Major here. And is it here? Hang on, guys. I'm going to try and see if it's going to be in here or not. Maybe it's this. Not sure. Okay. Might be. It might be this. I gotta look. But here, you know what we're gonna do? We're just gonna go here. It's called it's M41. It's a little beehive. This is not. I don't think this is the one, but this is actually a really pretty cluster on its own. And I think that the telescope dome is pointed in the right place for this. So let's go there now. And let's go watch. Okay. Now it's going down there. You don't see any movement on the screen for the dome at the moment, but as soon as I bring it up, you'll see it start to move. See, and that's actually that's kind of cool. It's a neat. Yeah, so we're looking right out, so that's gonna be good. And now what I'll do is I'll bring us in a little bit. Oops, it's not quite done. I'm going to finish it and bring us over. Okay. This doesn't in any way get in the view or the picture. Neither does this ops shot or any of this stuff. The frame is still the frame, you know, and it's taking the photos normally and properly. Let's drop this down a little bit. Let's go to, say, 20,000 and for 10 seconds. All right, let's see what we get. There we go. So we're taking this picture for 10 seconds, and it automatically brings up our viewer, which shows up next. And the viewer is actually a really nice tool, and that's the thing that brings us this next view that we're seeing here. So this is what's called the little beehive. And what's the beehive? Well, the beehive is Praesepe, which is the name of a cluster that is a cluster of stars that is in the constellation of Cancer. And that is a beautiful cluster as well. And these are called open clusters. Open clusters because they're sort of open, meaning that they're not regimentedly held together by their own gravity. Some are, but some of the stars in the outskirts are kind of a little bit free to move on and do other things, but they're all traveling in the same general direction around the galaxy center because they're orbiting the galaxy. And don't forget, everything you see in this image, every single thing, every star is moving. They're all moving. Everything is in motion in the universe. Really incredible. So this is the little beehive cluster. And where is it? Well, it's in the middle of Canis Major, which is the dog right here. Now, if you want to know what the dog looks like, well, that's what he looks like. Okay? He's actually a greyhound in the mythology. And so we have this beautiful Canis Major dog there, with Sirius, of course, being the lead star. And also the brightest star in the northern hemisphere, which is kind of cool. Now, when you go out at night, you don't actually see the lines. Obviously, you just see this. This is what you see when you look in the sky. Actually, you don't even see the labels, do you? You know, you don't see those, but you do see plenty of stars like this. You know, just like they are, and it's really just a beautiful night sky. I like showing the lines so that when you look at what we're looking at, you kind of, you know, it gives you a context for where things are. This is Orion as you see it in the sky, all right? And then this is what your eye sees. This is what the ancients saw. This is what the ancient people saw, okay? And so they saw, you know, this particular set of stars, and they made them into these images, like Orion's outstretched arm with the club is made of these particular stars. The animal he's holding that he killed is here, and his belt is here, his sword is here, and that's where Orion is. The Orion Nebula is. Really, just a very fanciful thing. Very fanciful. You know, and so I really enjoy. I really enjoy this part of astronomy, frankly. Amanda likes it more than I do. I mean, she's very much into the mythology. I'm not so much into the mythology. I'm more into the really cool things you can see, you know, which are really neat. Now, another thing we can do if I have the availability at the moment, I think maybe that we'll be able to see this too. This is actually a beautiful open cluster. Also in it's in Gemini actually. Let's see if the telescope. That's right, Daryl. Lepus. I mentioned that earlier. You're right. Lepus is down below. Let's see if we're going to have a telescope in the way here. Let's go to our live scene here, live remote. Well, it looks like it looks like it's going to be clear. If you look down here, you can see the telescope view, and the opening is here's the edge of the dome here, but then you can see the black is the outside in the sky. So we can see that we actually have a shutter that's kind of right in the middle. So we may be able to see this just fine. So let's go get our view. Let's go over a little west with this. This is the westward motion, heading toward where the sun sets. And now let's look at this object here. This is another open cluster, which is just beautiful. And let's do 10 seconds at 20,000. Sounds good to me. And off we go into the wild blue yonder. And it'll be done in a second. And when it's done, we will fade on over to the view. And here we go momentarily. So there we see this beautiful cluster of stars with the noise processing going on over here to get rid of the noise. See that? This is M35 in the constellation of Gemini. M35 is a beautiful open cluster. Many stars. You can imagine that if these were much more compact, you could almost see this as a globular cluster like we see. But this is more of a loosely held collection of stars. And so we don't view this as any kind of a closed cluster. So basically, we call it an open cluster. So there's a lot of open space basically between the stars, and it's really pretty. Now I like how we can view this cluster. This is a little processing done on the cluster. We can see it with some processing. It looks nice, and we can always get at this and change the processing. And for instance, if I want to play with this, I can basically change the way we're viewing the data in the cluster. This kind of makes it a little easier to look at, possibly, but you can also see the noise a little easier. But we can fix all that, and that's the nice thing, that we can do. So the question is, for all of you, are you enjoying this new look and feel for our SkyTour LiveStream? I'm hoping that the answer is yes. And I would like to know if this is something that you would like to see continue, because I think that this, for me anyway, it's a lot easier. I can get a lot more crammed in the short amount of time. I love being able to show you that where I am, so you can see what's going on. It's a real person doing this. This is live. This is happening at the same time that you're seeing it. It's happening. Then we've got the observatory views down here, except for this camera. Okay, that dome camera is it has expired, and I have to charge it. I have rechargeable batteries, by the way, but I'm going to actually build little power circuits to control the cameras so they are always on, and that's relatively easy to do. And I think that will be just fine. So we will definitely do that. I've got the dome rotator mechanism that I'm building. I'm going to use a little microprocessor, let's call an Arduino, to actually control it. And I might have mentioned this earlier as we talked, but as the telescope moves, right, the dome is going to move with it to always keep the opening facing where the telescope's looking. That's important. And that simple thing is a really cool process. Now there is a way to Tom, you get it solar powered. Yeah. There's a way to actually link in with existing libraries that control domes. In fact, this program that I have here that we're looking at on this side, the telescope control program, this isn't just do telescopes. There's a lot of other gear that this can control. It can control a dome, and I will have it do that. One of the cool things that we can do also, and you may not know it now because we haven't talked about it yet. Well, not lately, but we could stop tracking the stars if we want to right now, and we could actually turn off the track. And if I did that like that, okay, then you'll notice that the stars are beginning to drift. You see that? If I leave the pointer alone, you see how the stars are drifting to the west? You're watching the speed of the Earth's rotation. That's the Earth rotating out from underneath the stars, guys. All right? And so that's what a telescope does. It tracks the stars. Here, for fun, let's take a photo right now. All right? So we're taking a photo right now of this cluster. Okay? And it's not going to look like it did the last time. Not at all. All right? I'm going to turn the track back on now. Okay. All right, so now when the photo is done, we go to our picture. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? Now, I'll tell you this. Here's why this is actually helpful. This is helpful because we can tell the colors of the stars much easier when we see trails. So you'll notice we have a lot of blue stars in here. We also have some yellows and some orangey stars. And this is a very good way to actually check out what kind of stars are within a cluster. And your eye can't see when it looks at a point, like if it looks at the object like this right here. This is the cluster we just took a picture of. This is M35. Okay. Well, this is M35 after it's been allowed to trail like this. We turn off the tracking. We turn off the drive that follows the stars. So in the 15 seconds, okay, this is how much the Earth moves. All right. And, it looks like, hundreds of little satellites, doesn't it? Like we saw the satellite trails. Well, if we weren't tracking the stars, but we were tracking, if we were tracking the stars, okay, we would see these as perfect dots, kind of like this right here. Okay. But if we're tracking, we turn off the tracking, we just watch the rotation of the Earth, and we'll see that this happens, you see. So, for all those that say, wow, the Earth isn't moving, or, it's flat, or all that crap, okay, well, here's the proof that that's not true. I mean, how do you explain this? They have no explanation, Yeah, and I think Ronald's right. I know Jen likes the sound of the telescope. She liked to hear that. And that's something that we don't have out. But I am going to have it. Why? Because I'm installing a system that's going to allow us to hear what's going on inside the dome as well. There's an interesting thing. Visual cues are one thing, but audio cues are another. If I can hear the sound of what's going on inside the dome, then I know if everything's okay. So I need to have that sound. So to Jen, who really likes the sound of the telescope moving, as she said in the past, it'll be back. It'll be back. So anyway, so here we go. This is a beautiful trail. You can see the different colors. Keep in mind, I'm actually using a filter which knocks out a lot of the color that's from sodium vapor lamps. It's called a light pollution filter. I've got that installed as well. And well, the truth is, this particular image, okay, I have also something called a filter wheel. And it's a round object that has a bunch of little filters in it. And if I want to, I can move to the next filter. It goes ka-ching, ka-chink, and it get ka-chink, 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 and it'll roll through this rotary system and put different filters in. I don't have it implemented at the moment. I'm not using it right now, but I will at some point. And that'll be really, really interesting and a very effective way to show the differences. And when we do the real science I was talking about, that's going to actually be key. Because when we take photos of nebulae, you're going to see how, with different filters, they look extremely different. And there's a reason for that. And we'll get to that. And the other thing, too, is starting in January, I don't know how many of you are listening to SkyTour Radio on KGRA. But our radio show is going to go from 1 hour to 2 hours starting in January. So we're going to have a lot more time to get through the topics we want to talk about, a lot more interactivity with the chat and the folks in the KGRA chat. We will have guests on that will be part of the astronomy world, and people that will join us to talk about some really interesting stuff. We've had Daryl on, who's here in the chat with us, and Daryl is just wonderful as a guest on the show, and he's got an awful lot of background that is really interesting, and I like to bring that to you as well, because you guys are really seem to be really hot for this stuff, just like I am, and so I'm loving it, so this is all good news. So starting in January, when we start SkyTour LiveStream for 2 hours, we will definitely be looking for your suggestions and listening to your input, and we'll kind of take the show where you'd like to see it go. So I'm hoping that you'll be happy to join us and come back and spend time with us then. Let's go take a look now at some more places to go. And I don't know how many of you are aware, but we've got a beautifully clear night here tonight, and it wasn't clear earlier. It was raining, in fact, yesterday. In fact, I was walking out there today. I was walking through and slogging through this crazy amount of water on the ground. So it's just really bad. So right now, our scope is pointed here in Gemini, and I'm not sure, but we might be able to catch one of these beautiful little clusters that are in the constellation of Auriga. Now, where is that? Well, Auriga is, let's take a look here at Orion, okay? Here's Orion here, okay? And we'll just turn this off for now. Here's Orion, and of course, this is Orion the Hunter, and there's the Hunter. And moving upwards, we get to Taurus the Bull. Aldebaran, the red star, is sort of the eye of the bull. The Pleiades, the shoulder of the bull. And then, if we keep going up, we come to the goat herder, which is Auriga. Okay, and the goat is Capella, and it has some little goats with it, and those are called the kids. It's Capella and the kids, which is kind of neat. And where are the kids, you may ask? Well, the kids are just these stars here. All right, these are the kids. Not kids like children, but kids like, goats. So this is a neat way to visualize this, okay? And again, when you look at it without any aid or anything, this is what you see in the sky, minus the words, okay? So you have to get used to looking at the night sky in the way that an astronomer does. So let's just figure out if we can get here and check this out. Let's go and let's maybe go to, let's see, there's a few things we can show. And when I hit this key, we can actually show all the deep sky objects you see that are in this cluster. Okay, so this here is something called the Flaming Star Nebula. All right, and it's an emission nebula, so that means that it's actually, fairly red. But let's go see if we can check anything out and see it, all right? That would be kind of cool. So let's move the telescope there, and we'll go back and see if we've got the ability to see this without having to move the dome shutter and or the dome itself. And let me just go and make sure I can see the telescope moving, as you can too. Down here, you can see it moving, and there we see that it looks like it's gonna be just at the edge. We might be okay, I'm not sure, but let's check it out anyway. A way to do this is over in here. Let's go into a 4K mode and then go and increase the sensitivity quite a bit and see if we're going to end up with an overabundance of whitish coloration, because that would be like the edge of the dome. Doesn't look it. So maybe we're okay. So let's just take a picture here. Let's do 40,000 for, let's see. This will come back to 10 seconds. Let's say 15 or 20, because Capella's and you know, the Auriga is almost overhead right now. So let's do 20 seconds at 40,000 just to see what we get. Okay. So we're going, we're off and running, and we're checking it out. And now I'm doing the let's just waiting for it to come in. I'm having fun, by the way, so I don't know about you guys. I'm kind of having fun doing this. So I think even if I was talking to nobody, I'd be having fun too. Okay, now, so here we go. Now this is that area near that nebula, and we can just barely see it over here. So I'm gonna move us over a little bit. I'm gonna go back to our live view here, and we'll go back to the live view, move us over a little bit more, bring up the telescope control, and go this way, I think. Okay, I think this is where we got to go. Let me just go back and check. This is where the scope's looking, and we have those two bright stars right there. And if we go back now, we have those two bright stars. We have the same stars. You see that? So, and the thing is, the angle that we're looking at, okay, at the sky right here is the same as this angle here. And that's because the telescope is mounted on an equatorial mode, a polar axis mode. So this will be at the same angle relative to the view of the camera. The camera's set up so that it's, you know, aligned with the telescope, so that this view is identical right now. So we come back, and when we come back, we will see that I have to just make sure it wants to come back. It takes a little time sometimes for it to do so. Not my fault. Ah. Well, I'm reading the chat there. NASA shut down for a bit, so who's monitoring the skies? Those programs don't shut down. Those sky watching programs, the asteroid hunters, those programs don't shut down. They're still going, full speed ahead, I promise. Okay, so now we're here. I think that we're okay, and I just want to move us a little more. Okay, now let's go back and do 20 seconds at 40,000 one more time, and we should see a little nebula in here. Okay, the L just goes gray. It shows that we're actually taking this photo. And, you know, this is really neat. You think it's neat, Gumby? I do. Where's Pokey? Hey, I don't know where Pokey is. Who remembers Gumby? My arpeggio. You sneezed on my arpeggio. Do you remember that? Okay, so let's go into view mode here. And what do we got? You can see it. It's just right here. Right here, you can see. And, you know, again, I'd have to, let me try. This is what it looks like without any processing. And if we go into this, yeah, that's right, Chris. It's a hydrogen alpha emission nebula. It's actually kind of, it's not that bright, but it's actually pretty interesting. I mean, it's like a magnitude 6, which is actually sort of bright for a nebula, but it's not really that. It's really not that bright when it comes to the fact that it's all spread out over a larger distance. But again, I mean, it's just beautiful. I'm having fun just going through here. And now, if we go back to our planetarium view and look here, now we have this next one here, which is an open cluster. It's also known as CR63 or a MEL 33. It's NGC 1893. It's an open star cluster, and it's right nearby. So let's check that out too, shall we? Let's go there and check her out. And it's just right near it, and you'll see it as we go. As you'll see the stars go right to there, and then they're going to stop, and they're going to come back a little bit. There it is. It's right in the view. And the stars come back a little. You can see them moving back a little, I think. And then we will take, we'll go to 40,000 now. I'll take us down to 32,000. Actually, go back to our remote view so you can see what's going on. Galileo would be crapping his pants at the moment if he appeared next to him. Actually, I would be crapping my pants, okay, to be honest with you, because Galileo is just an amazing human being. Actually, the middle name of one of my sons is Galileo, and it's because I completely, I feel that man was underrated, from history. Although he really does have a place in history that's pretty awesome. Let's do 20 seconds at 25,600 ISO. This is on a small cluster. And if you want to know what it is, that cluster is called NGC 1893. And it's a really interesting location. Let's go check it out. All right. And we're there. And telescope will be done in a second. All right. And here we go. And now we come up. There it is. Look at that. See how the noise reduction is? Look at the difference, huh? Talk about noise reduction. That's really cool. Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful. That's really pretty. That beautiful little open cluster right there. Yeah. Ronald, what do you mean? How do you do the red? I don't know what you mean there. But he'll tell me. Yeah, anyway, so this is beautiful. Let's go back in. Let's go back to our live remote again. And go back to the remote screen. And come back and grab our Planetarium program. First of all, I probably should do this. Go down through the list again here. Okay, we got Bobby Fisher. We got Daryl. How you guys doing? We have Elliot Astro Imaging. Don't miss his site. Chris Elliott, put in your link. Ian McQueen. Jeff Lucas, astrophotographer. Jenny Miko. Justin T. Laura Hovey. Hey, Laura. Maddie. Maureen R. More Jello, please. We know who that is. Ned Ryerson. Tom Brown. And Wild Ike. Thank you guys for joining me. That's all that we have active right now, but all you have to do is leave a message or say something a few times, and you'll actually be able to end up with your name on the list. Okay, so let's go and see now. Waiting for the telescope to come back. There it is, and now I will take us to another location. All right, so that's the zenith right there. Now, if we come down, let's go down here. Oh, you know what? I might have to move the dome for this. I want to show you something. I do want to show you something. It's really cool. And I might be able to do some of this first, though. Let's try this. Okay, I'll do a couple of these things first. This guy. This one here this is kind of, it's an H2 region. That is a hydrogen alpha region, but it's actually This one's kind of tough to show, actually. Kind of tough to see it. I might have to wait on this one a little bit. This one is another one. It's a reflection nebula. It's not as bright as I would like it to be able to show you quickly. Let's see. Moving around here. Now, if you might know where I am, well, I'm actually up above Orion. See, there's Orion. Okay, and I'm over here. But what I want to do, actually, I'm going to come over here because I'm going to show you something else. I know there's one over here that I want you to see. And it's this little guy right here. This is one that we've looked at before, but I want to show you again. We didn't look at it tonight. Okay, this is different here, but this one is neat, okay? And we're going to move over to it now. And I think that I'm going to have to move the dome because I may have the dome may be in the way here. But that's okay. We'll fix that. All right, so let's see if the dome's in the way. I could also explain why we didn't see some of the other things. Sometimes, if the screen in the observatory is dark, then I won't get my reflections, which will tell me that I have the dome in the way. But again, I'm working on the system to be able to show or keep the dome always in the place where the telescope's looking, so that the opening is always available. But I think we're going to be okay with this shot. If you notice, we don't actually have a problem looking at. Yeah, I see that, Jeff, again. Well, we can try 2174, which is the monkey head. And we'll do that shortly. I want to do this one first. Okay, this here is the location where I am right now is Hubble's Variable Nebula. And we'll go back to the monkey head in a minute. And what's really cool about Hubble's Variable Nebula is something that I've known from actually imaging it with a 20-inch refractor. That's a 20-inch diameter refractor. The telescope was about 40 feet long. Okay, this will be a 20-second photo at 25,600. Hubble's Variable Nebula is an interesting nebula that changes its brightness such that it's called Hubble's Variable Nebula. Now, the brightness change is interesting because it changes by magnitudes, brightness levels, over periods of time on a somewhat regular basis. And what they think is going on is that there's dark clouds of dust that are orbiting a star in here. And let me just get us to the view guy here. Let's move that. There we are. Okay, now what's neat is as we zoom in on this part of the nebula, it looks like a comet, like a cometary look. And the weird thing is this star here is not the thing that's causing the nebula to shine, okay, because it's a reflection nebula. But what's happening is this is part of a big, large complex, all right? And to put it into context, let me pull us to the Stellarium view here for a second. Hubble's Variable Nebula is near the Christmas tree cluster and also the Cone Nebula. This is a large area of nebulous dark dust and gas that is a very well-known location. And so this is sort of on the edge. The Hubble's Variable Nebula is on the edge. So let me see here. So what's that mean? It means that the nebula itself, okay, this nebula itself is actually shining or lighting up because it's reflected light off of dust from a star that's not even in the picture. It's actually behind this black veil of dark dust over here. This opaque dust is blocking the star that's back here somewhere that's illuminating this. And what's interesting is the star is actually the star is actually has rotating dark dust that's in front of it every now and then as it orbits the star, and that causes this nebula to fluctuate in brightness. It's really cool. Really cool. So this is a really interesting little nebula. It's actually one of my favorites because you can look at it, and when you look at it, sometimes it's not the same brightness. Now the other night or the last time we got together, all of us, we looked at Comet 46P Wortonen, and over the course of about an hour, we were able to photograph it moving against the stars in different positions. You have to feel, I'm sure you do, that when you see that happening, it actually feels really interesting to you that we're actually watching the universe change before your eyes. Well, this nebula is the same thing. This nebula is doing the same thing. And so if we were to actually look at this nebula, in a week, it might be a different brightness, and it might be something that would be worthy of checking out, at another point later, too, to see if it's different in its brightness. But Hubble's Variable Nebula has been a favorite of mine for that whole reason, Sorry, I just yawned. I apologize. Good night, Brandy. He said good night, and it's like, I'm tired. So that was a cool one. And now, by popular demand, I know that the Monkey Head Nebula was one that we wanted to try, and I want to make sure we can actually get it. And we will find it. Oh, it's up here, right? Where are we? That's the zenith. That's right over our head. So let's see now. 2174. I'm trying to see where that was. 2174. Hey, you know what? I can just do a find on it. NGC 2174. There it is. All right, let's search for it. Okay. All right, so we're going to go there. We're going to see if we can get there. All right, here we go. And now we're going to go back and see if we keep seeing stars, that's all good. It shows that we're actually getting somewhere without the dome being blocked. And we can see that we do have the dome is open right now, and I can see that the movement there. You can actually see the movement that occurred over here to put that where it is. We might be in the way a little bit, but we'll find out in a second. Let's do a 20-second shot here of this location to see if we have it. I could have done a 4K video, but the monkey head is actually kind of dim, and I would like to be able to see what we got, Okay, it's kind of a little dim guy, but we'll see. We'll see. All right, so a little processed area there. And I can't tell if we're looking at it right here. Here? Is that where we're looking? Or here? I'm not sure. Well, you know what? I have to go back and see. Yeah. Hey, there's Amanda. How you doing, Amanda? Did you wake up? I imagine you did, huh? Let's oh, what the heck? Should we try and call you, Amanda? You want to come on board here? I'd love to have you come on board. Why not? So, be ready for my call. I'm going to call you. All right, let's do that. Let's bring Amanda in. She didn't get to see all the fun we had, guys. You know, it's just terrible, you know. It's okay. Okay, all right, let's see here. Now, let me grab this here. Grab this here. And try it. You may hear this, guys.
Hello.
And there's Amanda. Ta-da!
I am. Ta-da!
Are you awake?
You didn't know Mark was a magician, did you?
Yeah, right. I am actually, but not not a crazy one. I don't think. You know.
No, I am not just waking up. Thank you very much. I am just getting home.
All right, cool. Well, did you have fun tonight?
Should have stayed home.
Oh.
Went to the casino, didn't have any luck, so I should have just stayed home. But I guess you guys were having fun.
Yeah,
showing off the new equipment.
Yeah, showing off the new whole thing, the whole new thing here. This is the new look and feel, that we got going on, and we have the telescope control system over here on the left. We have we have the dome operations. It's here. Then we have over here, we have one dome camera, which has to get recharged. And we have the live telescope mounted follow cam here, dome cam number 2, which is kind of cool. And this is the live view of what we see right now. So kind of cool, you know?
Very cool.
Yeah, really neat.
I haven't even seen all this stuff yet, guys. So.
Well, you saw some of it the other day. I showed you a little bit, but
I saw some of it, but I didn't see all these little panels up on the side.
No, those are all new, actually.
Whatever this thing on the left is, I'm delayed because I'm looking on YouTube. But whatever this is on the left under your live cam.
Yeah.
That panel goes to up down mode enter part before. That's pretty fun.
Yeah. So
is that your go-to?
Yeah, and I'm sharing my screen with you, so you're live with us.
Oh.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, I'll pop it in chat.
Yep. Now you'll be able to do. I've been at this since I forget how long I've been doing this. Tonight.
At least 2 hours says.
Okay. A while anyway. Well, it's good that you're here because now, and for those of you who know Amanda Curran is my co-host on SkyTour Radio, fantastic co-host. She also does SkyTour News for our.
I've been a little behind on that lately.
Oh, but that's okay. You've been doing so many of them, and she does a lot of stuff on behalf of SkyTour Radio that's just amazing. A lot of it's her own idea too on some of those. So I'm my hat's off to her. I give her a lot of compliments and kudos for doing that and for thinking about doing those things. No one in their right mind would do all the things that she does for SkyTour Radio, but she does it anyway. And I just want people to know that she does a phenomenal job. Just a phenomenal job. So let's go.
And remind them, I am not an astronomer. I am just someone along for the ride. I try to get questions from chat for Mark if he doesn't have eyes. Just trying to let people know what's going on. If you have requests for things that you want to see, I'm kind of here as his eyes. Let him know what's going on and stuff.
Yep, and you do.
I am not an astronomer. I'm getting a free education by doing this, so I'm just the kind of go-to girl.
Oh, it's okay. You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
Sure.
And I'm learning.
You are.
You are.
You say a lot of things that in the past you said some things that were kind of cringy, but these days you actually don't. You actually have a really good fundamental background now that is pretty impressive. And I really like it. So, by the way, I'm just setting up on the supernova remnant called the Crab Nebula. So let's go check that out, shall we? Let's hope that we can get there without any problems. And we can see stars moving through. Let's go check the telescope positioning. Make sure that we're okay. And it looks like we might be right on the edge with our telescope over here, but let's give it a shot anyway. Let's go check out the Crab Nebula. In 1054 AD, Chinese astronomers saw this bright new star in the sky, and it wasn't until we could look back at it many centuries later that we can actually tell that that was an area where a star had exploded and formed a daytime star for a period of time in the sky. I think that's incredible.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So now we're gonna be going to our view momentarily.
So I have a question.
Sure.
Is this Crab Nebula? Hold on. I always stop mid-sentence and think about what I'm about to say because I don't know if this is gonna make sense. No, because the constellations move throughout the sky.
Yeah, as the
Is
Earth
the
goes
Crab
around the sun.
Nebula in Cancer?
No, it's in Taurus actually.
In Taurus.
Yeah.
Why is the crab connected with Cancer? Does the constellation of Cancer actually look like a crab?
Oh, no, it's Cancer the crab, right? So I don't know the mythology of Cancer the crab, but this is
well,
called
I'm assuming the constellation Cancer looks like a crab, and that's why.
Yeah,
but that has nothing to do with the Crab Nebula. I would assume the nebula would go with the constellation, you know?
Yeah. No, this is actually called the Crab Nebula because, well, here, look, let me throw a little processing. Okay, now adding a little processing into the mix here, you can see that the Crab Nebula kind of has this spidery looking appearance to it, which makes it look like a crab. So it's called the Crab Nebula. All right, and that's what makes it the Crab Nebula right there. Kind of cool.
Nebula is in Orion.
What's that?
Right? The Orion Nebula is in Orion. It's in his belt, isn't it?
That's correct. It's actually in his sword down below the belt.
A sword, wink, wink.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, yes, the sword, wink, wink. Okay, and
that's what I was wondering. Like, if the Orion Nebula is in the Orion constellation, why wouldn't they keep the crab with the crab, right? I mean, why couldn't they have called it a spider if it had like 8 tentacles or an octopus or something?
I really don't know the answer. I really don't know the answer.
Things I think about. It would just, I don't know.
No, it's okay.
I guess
it's cool.
No, you see pictures where you see pictures. You can't make a crab shape out of something that isn't, you know.
Yeah, that's
Never
true.
mind. Don't worry about me. Right, glad I joined.
Yeah, actually, I'm glad you did. I'm glad you came on board. You know, you're very good for the cause. You're very good to all of us. Well, this is the Crab Nebula now. You'll notice it has a distinctly kind of a bluish color, and it has red around the outside. And when I do the stack of these, you can actually see that pretty clearly. It looks really pretty. This is a processed image. If we take off the processing, like dynamically, I can just remove the processing, and that looks like that. So you see, adding processing kind of automatically and immediately helps show a little bit better what this is looking like. And of course, we can also go into the editor within our whole setup here and do that as well. But no need, no need to do that. So let's see now. If we go back to our live view, okay, you may wonder, well, where is the crab in the context of the sky? Okay, and as Amanda was saying, why isn't the crab, in Cancer? Well, this is where the Crab Nebula is, right here. And this is Aldebaran. And, well, let's show you. Okay, this is the constellation of the Bull. See that? And so here we have
this right here is my favorite feature so far. Sorry guys, I'm a sucker. I want to see the pictures.
That's okay.
This is my favorite part of the app that I've seen so far. We can see the pictures. How cool is that?
Oh, this is pretty cool. Yeah, and so
it's so cool.
And so like this helps us to see that right at the very tip of the horn of Taurus is the Crab Nebula. And what I was telling everybody, Amanda, was this square represents the field of the camera, and it's always in the center of the view. So, but the telescope is where the crosshair that has the word scope on it will be. Okay, so if I actually move the telescope a little bit, like with these features here, if I just hit like a key here and start moving the telescope, you can see how the word scope is migrating now across the screen. That's because the telescope's actually moving. All right, and you might have seen it moving over in here, in the view. So that's neat. Yeah, and this is actually the thing that tells us about and puts us in context, in fact, with the sky, what we're looking at in the sky.
Hold on. Some people are getting buffering, as am I.
Okay.
John and Ronald. Laura.
Okay.
Daryl. Yeah. So can you check your stream strength?
I have 30 frames per second, holding strong. Yeah. Yeah. I've got...
Yeah. No, it looks like everyone is.
Everyone's buffering?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. What if I turn this off?
Buffering here again, too. Yeah, I have like 7 people already.
Huh. Interesting, because I don't have... I see a fluctuation in the stream kilobits per second, but it's still green. I'm still in the green. Interesting.
Oh, I'm going to try to refresh it, see if that helps.
Okay.
Still buffering.
Really?
Yep. And so... Oh, wait. Okay, it's back. Hold on. Back for me. Anyone else? Okay, it looks like we're back.
Okay.
Stand by. I want to hear what everyone has to say.
Standing by. Thank you for that.
Oh, just started buffering again on my end.
Really? Okay, I'm going to try
Andy says no. Okay, mine looks good. Waiting.
What's no mean?
Gone. I said it's back for me and anyone else, and he said no.
Oh. He says...
Getting intermittent.
Okay.
Buffering again.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me just jump down to something else, and let's see if it makes a difference. If there's less data on the screen.
Yeah, it'll come back for about 5 seconds for me and then go buffering again.
Okay.
I'm clear and not. Yeah, it's going back and forth. I don't know if it's something on your end or...
Okay.
I don't know if you've have you been monitoring chat? Do you notice this before?
I had the chat up and I haven't seen anything about this at all. The only difference,
seems like...
The only difference, the only difference is actually that you joined.
Yeah, I'm thinking it may have been buffering earlier and you might not have noticed.
But they'll tell you.
It's saying buffering again, as if it happened before.
Oh, well. Okay, maybe. Let me try this. I'm gonna just I stopped sharing the screen, and that means I stopped tying up a little of my bandwidth. So let's see if that makes a difference.
Okay, well, my buffering is cleared now.
All right.
Okay, people are starting to say it's coming back. Who knows? Maybe you're running too much stuff.
Well, this is a high-end 4-core machine, so it's possible. It's possible that I didn't that I had a problem with it. I'm noticing if you look in the telescope view here on the screen, you can see the telescope is actually right at the edge of the shutter, only a tiny little bit of it sticking out. That's funny, Ian. But you know what? I'm actually, now I know where that is, I'm going to see about pulling us back a little bit. All right, that's too far.
Okay, well, it seems like ever since you stopped sharing screens, it seems like it's coming back now for people, so.
Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Terrible, though. Now I can't, put you on here unless I don't know. I could. We can figure it out. There won't be a reason why we can't. We'll just have to figure it out. No worries. All right, so, this is a neat, double star. Let's go there. Or neat 2 stars. So let's go there. I'm going to go to this, in the context here, we're going to go to Delta Monoceros here, which is, you see the telescope moving over. Okay, and how that looks in the telescope view is like this. And there are those 2 stars I was just telling you about. Okay, so when we go back to this, we can actually see, in the context, we can actually see the 2 stars. See that? And then we come back and we go back into the view, we see them. Cool, huh?
Very cool.
Yes, there they are, the 2 stars. Yeah, so that's what's nice about this. It shows it exactly as we expect to see it. And I like that. Let's just do a exposure here of 20 seconds at 25,600. Actually, let's do 15. Okay, and do that. And then we'll see what's going on. Let's just check some focus. I haven't refocused. You know, as the temperature changes, folks, the focus on the telescope changes. And we may have to refine it and refocus as the temperature drops outside. That's expected, and that's something that we would have to do. But it looks like we're not bad. Okay. I'm going to go back to the non-processed view. So here's a non-processed view. It looks really interesting. Looks pretty good. Yeah, I might have little bits of, very, very, these stars are, these are actually very, very nice stars right there, a little string of stars. You know, one of the things too that this planetarium system can do is it can show us where all the exoplanets are in the sky. And what's interesting is when you look in the summertime sky, you can actually see where they are in Cygnus, where Kepler was looking. And that's just the coolest thing. So it'll be kind of interesting to do that in the summertime again. Now, the stars that we're looking at here are these guys here. This is Delta Monoceros. It's actually Monoceros actually. And we have this little guy over here, which is a planetary nebula, which we're going to go check out right now. It's called the Butterfly Nebula. And let's go move over to it. It's not going to move far. See, we're only going to go just a little bit down. And we're going to go down and to the right, just like we saw here, down and to the right. So now you see we have that context for doing the movements now and the entire the process now of at the John Zach Memorial Observatory. So I think it's going to be kind of cool to do this from now on. You know? All right, I think that we have stopped moving. Yes, we have. We have all of our buttons back. I'm not in my live mode view. In the live mode view, it's in the live mode view we actually see. Let's see here. we have. Is this moved or whatever? I'm wondering why it's like that. Interesting. I'm just checking something out. Hold on. Huh.
That's a beautiful shot that just came up. Oh, that's gone.
Yeah, it was pretty. Oh, I see what I did. Didn't I? Wow. Okay, so I'm just moving some things. I'm looking around here, and I noticed that I'm noticing that something. I was trying to figure something out that wasn't quite right. Let's see. Why
is that your mouse supposed to be moving around the screen? It's really
this?
Not a clear picture at all.
What? Where are you looking?
YouTube.
Oh.
Looks really fuzzy and out of focus.
Okay. Yeah, it probably is my mouse. All right, let me.
Yeah, I thought you were moving like a star all over the place. Yeah, it's.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't mean to complain as soon as I show up, but
no. It's just...
I wonder if there's like too much stuff on the screen going on that it's causing like.
Trust me, I'm okay.
Like it doesn't look as smooth as it did before.
No, I don't know. I'm not sure. Let me try something.
But I'm always spoiled with the quality of videos you put out, so any kind of. But like even the writing, I can't make out the writing.
Okay.
Or the side panel thing. Just not crisp.
Yeah. Let me just move my. Okay, that looks okay. Okay, well, first of all, let's take a picture here, and I want to try and find out if we can see the Butterfly Nebula right here. This is a little planetary nebula, which is it's right there, and in the context of the sky, it's up above another one we've looked at before, the Seagull Nebula. This is Sirius, the dog.
The Seagull Nebula? I don't remember that one.
Oh yeah, we're gonna go look at it a bit here in a minute. We're gonna go check it out. Okay, and we're gonna see if we can see this. Again, see the word scope, and then the crosshair tells us that's where we are. So let's go back and look here, and now actually here. And let's see if we can see this thing. Might be small. Might be small. I don't know exactly. I've never tried looking for this, but see the size, the distance from here, from Deltamon, Aceros to this thing. You know, these two stars point at it. Those are fairly bright. Let's see if those stars are. Looks like that's it, right there. Might be it. Yeah, that's it, right there. That little guy. That looks like the nebula we're looking at on the planetary. Interesting. Let's see if we can process this to look like anything different. 1 second here, and now we turn off. Oh yeah, very clear. You can very clearly see this. See it right there?
Not waiting.
Yeah, I'm just talking to everybody. You can clearly see that. And it's going to look like your cat's paw or your cat's eye.
Eye?
Yes. All right, see it right there? There it is. I can take off a little of this.
That little dot in between your dome cam and the...
No, not
the little thing. No.
No, hang on. I'll show you. I'll show everybody. Okay, so here is the nebula, right? I'm circling it right now. See that? Can you see it? Okay, this star right here, kind of looks blue. It's kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm going to do something else, which I did for everybody before, but I want to show you. So in the middle of our view here, we have it. It's sort of there. You can't really see because it's faint. But let's do something now to kind of see if we can pull that color out. And we're going to do, again, 15 seconds. Let me just bring this up, by the way. I'll do 15 seconds now at 25,600. But we're going to do something first. We're going to turn off the tracker. This is the clock drive. That is the motion. So now you'll see the stars move. And when I turn this off, you'll notice something. Okay, if I put the pointer right there, you'll see how the star is moving. You see that moving? You're actually looking at the rotation of the Earth, rotating out, as I said, out from underneath the stars. But let's try something. Let's actually move over a little bit, and let's actually take a picture now. 15 seconds, and let's see if we can get a picture showing us the colors of all these stars on the screen, and some we can't see. All right, this will be kind of cool. And once it comes back, I'm going to re-guide. Okay, so now we're going to track again. All right, and now we're going to go to the view. Check this out. Okay, now this is the view of the stars that are trailing. Okay, in 15 seconds. Okay, and first thing you notice is that there are many different colors. Some are white, some are blue, some are orange, some are very, very blue and brighter. But, okay, the Planetary Nebula that we were looking at is down here, is one of these guys. And it's going to be kind of a smudgy one. It might be this guy, I'm not sure, which is kind of in the way. Maybe if I zoom out a little bit. It's going to be probably here somewhere. Pretty cool. I really do like that. Yeah, Daryl's right. He's absolutely right. The oxygen, doubly ionized oxygen, which is called oxygen 3, not oxygen 2 for doubly ionized, it's oxygen 3. Why? Because oxygen 1, Roman numeral 1, is the base state of the oxygen atom. All right. Ionize it once, the electron pops off once. You get one electron to pop off. That's singly ionized. That's O2. Doubly ionized is O3. So it's kind of, the O1 is actually no ionized. So that's why it's like that. It's just...
Well, first off,
yeah.
I reset something and everything looks wonderful again. Nice and sharp.
What did you reset?
I don't know.
Did you set your
Someone
resolution?
was saying when they refreshed, when it was buffering, that they got bumped down in settings, so it wasn't 180 or 1080. It was like 480 or something.
Okay.
But I was still on 1080, and I clicked it again, and it was still on 1080. But whatever. Regardless, it looks great again.
All right. Cool.
Second, was the Butterfly Nebula one of Hubble's targets? Do you know offhand?
It may actually have been. I think it might have been. I don't remember distinctly, but I think the Butterfly Nebula was one of its targets. Yes. Okay. I do believe that. Now I want to go one other place here, down here. We actually looked at this and took a photograph of it. And it really wasn't that good. But I'm going to try and do it again. This is the Seagull Nebula. And I'm not sure how well it'll come out, but we're just going to go here and check it out. So here we go. We're going down to the Seagull now. Okay, you'll see the stars zipping by. There they go. And then they come back a little bit because we always overshoot, and this is where the telescope is pointing now. You can see it's refining its position. I love that we've got this connection with a beautiful planetarium program to actually show what things are that we're looking at. The Seagull Nebula is really interesting because the Seagull Nebula is something that's probably it's about 1,800 light years away, and it's got a hydrogen emission going on as well, and the pictures I took of it in the past weren't all that good. It's a reflection nebula, so it's got some reflection in it as well. But I think if we give it a shot, we can try it again and see what it looks like. It may very well look better. I'm going to go to 20 seconds at 20,000. No, not 30. I'm going to go 20 seconds at 25,600. So here we go. Another benefit, as I mentioned, Amanda, is that the screen doesn't go blank when we're taking the picture, so we can continue to talk about things. Meanwhile, we can also go back and look at the context while the picture's being taken, about where it is, okay, which is kind of cool. And then, we can come back to our view here, and then once the picture's done, we can just, head right into looking at it over here. All right, and you see the noise reduction going on, automatic noise reduction. That's pretty cool. That's interesting. So we're seeing some coloration here, which implies that something might be in the way here. I gotta go check out and see if maybe the dome is in the way. It might be, and I'm gonna check it out to see if it is. Or that could be also clouds.
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, I've been dodging them all night long, and it got perfectly clear for a little while. But this rainbowing sometimes is the result of the telescope being right on the edge. And I think that if you notice now, you can see actually that the telescope is probably right at the very edge of the dome. You can see the actual edge of the dome right down here. If you look at the curve of the telescope, as it curves up over the top, you can see that it's also looking out of part of the dome. And that is the reason why it looks like it did here. So this is the view we have right now, and I'm going to go and move the dome. And as I was telling everybody, I'm working on a dome rotation mechanism as well, and I should have one hopefully in another few days. I'm working on it, probably actually more like a week, because I have to program something for an Arduino microprocessor. But it should work. But can you entertain all of our wonderful friends while I go move the dome?
I'll try.
You will do fine. I'll be right back.
Okay. So, what's going on, guys? I see your question, Pro. I was going to get to it, but Mark is just going out to check the dome for a minute. I asked that too. There are green stars. They're very, very rare, and I forget. No, Daryl's just corrected me. He says there are no green stars. I thought there were, but they were very, very rare, and that usually they are actually blue. But I thought there were some green stars. Okay, Daryl's saying some stars appear green as contrast effects. That's an interesting question, Cryptic. I'll ask Mark when he gets back. Oh, is Mark back? It looks like he's back on the screen, but he's not to me. Are you on mute? Okay, you guys see Mark on the screen too, right? It looks like he's talking. Are you on mute, Mark? Okay, I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm lagging too. I don't know. Anyway, let's get back to chat. Right. Okay, well, we'll get Mark to explain it because he explains things better. Saying, oh no, Mark worked hard on getting people here. I don't want to scare them all away. I hope everyone had nice holidays and looking forward to the new year, 2019, right around the corner. How would it not be green? Wouldn't that mean the scar has oxygen in it? I'm not 100% sure on that one, so I'm gonna wait until Mark gets back and I'm gonna ask him about that. And there's another question too. Oh, about the atoms. Okay, cryptic. I'm gonna ask him that too. And I hear a noise now.
Okay. I'm back.
Okay, what's going on? I could see you on the screen for a long time, but
When?
now, in the last minute or so, I was talking to you because I could see you on the screen on YouTube, back in your office.
Really? I just got here.
Yeah. Oh, it's very weird. No, I don't see you there anymore. I must be terribly lagging then.
Oh wow. Well, anyway, I discovered.
Back.
Thank you. I discovered the problem, and the rainbow coloration I mentioned could have been clouds. Is clouds. So unfortunately, we do have some clouds now, but I want to try and get just one more view. I mean, the Seagull Nebula is definitely in a cloudy area, which is unfortunate. What'd you say?
We have some questions coming in.
Okay.
I didn't say it, but I was scrolling back.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. My good friend Prow down in Toronto wants to know, are there any green stars? It seems like they're either red, blue, or white. And I thought I knew the answer. Apparently I don't, and now I'm given an answer that I don't quite believe, so I want to hear your thoughts on it.
Okay, well, the fact is that the green color is actually it's well, you have to look at the way the radiation comes out of stars. Okay, the color that you see is related to temperature. If you look at the spectrum, you'll find that the green area is actually a very narrow range. Red is very broad, blue is very broad, orange is broad, yellow is fairly thin but still somewhat broad. But the green area is kind of narrow, and so the likelihood of seeing a star that only emanates in that particular temperature is very, very rare. All stars give off green light. Most stars give off green light. The very red ones don't. The very hot ones don't. But most of the stars in the AFGK area of the spectrum of the stellar classification do give off green light. You'll see green in their spectrum. But the dominant wavelength is going to be something that doesn't give off green. And that's just because of the nature of how our cameras perceive color, how our sensors perceive color, how the star's radiative output is measured, and in what frequency range. The green is overwhelmed, basically. The green is just highly overwhelmed.
But are there such thing as green stars, or is it just a contrast thing? Is it just...
No, there really aren't green stars. Yeah, and that's the thing that people unfortunately have to they don't want to. Well, it's a problem. There are no green stars. I'm doing 5.
They don't like that answer? Is that what you were going to say? Because that's what I want to say.
Yeah, I know. People don't like the answer, but unfortunately, that's what it is, sadly. I'm moving to another object because the Seagull is in the cloudy area, so I'm going to try and come up a little bit.
Okay, then I'm going to move on to another question.
Okay.
And this is just kind of an odd question that was thrown out. Cryptic Warrior wants to know, Is it possible to have an atom without any electrons orbiting it?
Well, in the early universe, there were protons that were made in the early process, and neutrons, and electrons did come later. And so at that point, we didn't really have atoms per se. We had nuclei. But if you have an atom, now, say you have a hydrogen atom has a proton and an electron, one of each. Okay, and if you add a neutron to a hydrogen atom, it still is a hydrogen atom, but it's now an isotope of hydrogen. The only thing differing that differs or that makes the hydrogen atom different is the number of neutrons in its nucleus. All right, it's just another flavor of hydrogen. So add a neutron to hydrogen, you get what's called a deuterium atom. But if you now add ultraviolet radiation into the mix, and you spew this high energy radiation toward a hydrogen atom, which is a proton and an electron, the electron can jump right out of the hydrogen atom because it gets so much energy that it goes way out, far away, and it's no longer bound. And if it's no longer bound to the atom, then it's ionized. It leaves the atom behind. And so it has this free electron out there and a free proton. And a proton is positive, an electron is negative. So the hydrogen atom doesn't stay lonely for long. The nucleus doesn't stay lonely for long. Either that same electron or another one in the same nuclei or same nebula will recombine with this hydrogen nucleus and make the atom again, as opposed to the free nucleus. So yes, if you have an atom that's been completely ionized, you can have just the free proton or protons plus neutrons that are in the atom's nucleus available, and then that's, we don't call it an atom at that point. We just call it a nuclei, a free nucleus, free nuclei. And they can have any number of protons and neutrons in them.
Very well. Thank you.
Sure.
I hope that helps Cryptic.
Yeah, well, Cryptic has some good questions. He's asked some good questions before.
Good.
Okay. I think I'm in the middle of another cloud out here right now, so I'm just going to take this picture and see. It appears that I see a cloud in here, but let's check it out. You had a question?
I heard that.
Huh?
No, I heard that.
Oh, yeah, I yawned.
Yeah.
Well, I've been at this for a while, and, I've been working all day on this to try and get to the point where we're seeing it as it is now, and I'm really, that's an interesting cluster. That's, I think it's Hagrid's cluster. Yeah, Hagrid's dragon cluster.
Hagrid's dragon? Oh, someone just commented on that, actually.
Really?
Said there must be a green star in there. Yeah.
Why must there be a green star?
I don't know.
Yeah, no.
It's just weird that I just read that name, and we happened to be there.
Yeah.
Who was that? I can't remember. Hold on.
Cool. Yeah, Hagrid's dragon cluster.
Maureen.
Oh, Maureen.
Hagrid's dragon cluster must have a green star. Maureen said that. Can we see the dragon cluster, or is that what's behind the cloud?
No, that's what we're looking at right here on the screen now.
Oh.
That's Hagrid's dragon cluster. Yeah, and to see it in the context, we go over to the planetarium side, and there's Hagrid's dragon cluster. Okay, there it is right there. Okay, we're looking at it. All right. And the scope is kind of centered on it a little bit. And to the upper right is the Rosette Nebula, and just to the right of all that is Orion, see? Belt of Three, the Sword, Betelgeuse up there. Okay, but we have Hagrid's dragon cluster right down here. So it's kind of neat. And I like that it actually showed up even though it was sort of cloudy. Nebulas don't like to show up if there's the remotest amount of clouds. You put any clouds whatsoever, and it's just not good, you know? Know what I mean? Yes, you do.
I'm just waiting for the video to catch up.
Okay. Yeah, we're not able to see these nebulae, unfortunately. Well, we can... Not sure what it looks like right now. We can try this and see if we can see Thor's helmet. Okay, the telescope is making its way over here. Well, I see stars anyway, so that's good news. They may be a little bit extincted. Telescope is near the edge here. You can see it's near the edge of the dome, but not actually over the edge. So we should be able to get this. The other problem I have, by the way, is you'll notice on the telescope here, you see this is the end of the barrel of the telescope. You see on the right here, you see that it has like this. It has a cloth band around the end of it like that. That's actually a an anti-dew system that I installed, so that the glass plate at the end of the telescope won't ice up during the course of the night. And tonight is a full test where I actually didn't put any kind of what's called a dew cap, an extended tube off the end of this tube to protect from the dew. If I did that, I wouldn't get any kind of icing on the corrector plate. But I didn't do it tonight because I wanted to see what I would get. I have a little bit of icing, just a little bit, near the center. And that'll be responsible for some of the weird colors as well. But, you know, you're all coming along for the ride for the test because this is all stuff that is really important to work through. All right, so that's what this is all about. And you'll notice my lighting in here has changed to a whiter color. That's actually something that I didn't want it to do, so now it's red again. All right, let's see. Oh yeah, see, we definitely have clouds. Yeah, if we did, we wouldn't see this like this. No way. You know, but we can see anyway. You know, we can see we can see clearly a little bit. We can see Thor's helmet, which is kind of nice. See, if we zoom in, you can see this right here. See, this is. Oh, sorry, I'm looking at. I'm showing you kind of like the wrong thing here. I think it's best if I show you this way. There we go. This is Thor's helmet right here. Okay, this right here, and that's actually what we actually imaged. If we go back and look right now at this, all right, and we add a little processing in, you can see that we have Thor's helmet right here. All right, and there's more up here you can see, and we definitely have some really interesting features right here, so that's really cool. But anyway, so what I'm going to do is, because we have clouds out there now, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to take us the rest of the way on this journey that I'd like to take tonight. So what I think we need to do is to shut down for the evening. I don't want to, but I think I need to. And then we'll come back when we actually get some clarity again. It's the new moon will be here in a few days from now. A few days. It's like last quarter now, so we have a few more days. So we have a good chance now to get some excellent views. But I want to thank you guys for joining me. Amanda, thank you for joining me, albeit a little bit later. But I'm glad you showed up. It was wonderful to have you here. And to all of
That was
you,
an impromptu thing. I didn't realize I was out before you even messaged me, and I got home and I was like,
yeah,
okay, he messaged me an hour and a half later. He's probably still streaming.
you're right.
And sure enough, you were. And I said, well,
Well, I have no reason to
depending
go
on how
running
long you were
in.
going to be doing this for, you decide whether you wanted me or not. And
Yeah,
it looks like you have YouTube up anyway. You're keeping an eye on chat, so.
that's okay. I prefer to, if you can be around, I prefer that because, you're
Let you focus, yeah.
well, you're the SkyTour LiveStream person. You're a SkyTour Radio. I mean, you're part of all of it, so I think it's important.
It's nice to have company, I think.
Well, yeah, but like I said, you're part of the SkyTour family, aren't you?
Yeah, of course I am.
That's right. So I'm very pleased that this is.
That's a cool picture on the screen now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Well, anyway, guys, thank you for joining me, and Amanda now. Yeah, thank you, guys. We'll do this again. I hope you enjoy the new look and feel. I think you approve of it. I think you all love it. I hope.
I love it. I think it's amazing. You should be very proud of yourself for all the work and effort you put into, and all for us, all for free, all for us, just to sit back. You're busting your tail, making it perfect, and it shows. It's gorgeous, and I think a lot of people are really going to get a kick out of this. This is really cool.
Yeah, that's true. And
in case we don't stream in the next few days, a very, very happy New Year to everybody out there. Be safe, have fun, and may all your dreams come true in the new year.
Aw, isn't that nice? Oh. That's so cool.
We'll have much more universe to be bringing you in the new year.
Oh, yeah, we will. And
January 6th, SkyTour Radio returns to KGRA, all new programming.
That's right.
Very soon we'll be going to 2 hours. If you guys can take it, we can dish it.
Yes, you're going to hear Amanda a lot more.
Well, with a little bit more time, I'll be more comfortable to break in more with questions. I don't have time to interrupt in an hour.
No, and that's
and derail the conversation. It's too much information for you to get out, so this will work better, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's okay. I mean, and I think that that's the 2-hour format is going to be a little bit better because it's going to be less of a rush, and it'll be much more interesting, and there will be enough time in there for some good commercial breaks. And I know at least one person in the chat who will be grateful for that because she's helping SkyTour LiveStream go places. So we'll have the possibility of making those locations in our streams and radio program be something that are worth sponsoring. So anyway, I hope you guys have a good evening. Have an excellent new year if we don't stream, as Amanda said before then. But I will talk to you later. And the new SkyTour LiveStream bids you adieu until the next time. So remember, keep looking up, guys, and really, really, really check out some of the things we talked about tonight. And if you like that concept of the green stars, well, go look that up. Go look it up. And you'll see, what we're talking about with the narrow range of the green and how the other colors dominate so much. And yet, here's something odd, too. Our eyes are more tuned to green than any other color in the spectrum, yet it's the part of the spectrum that is very, very difficult for any star to throw off in particular and do it, uniquely. Isn't that interesting?